Lennox, bring the drums.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then I go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then I go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss.
Guys, welcome to DNC on the Rise. Today we are back with another ladies' night. We have AR, Seth, D-Jack, our friend Walter here. And ladies, starting with you, please introduce yourselves.
My name is Yesenia.
I'm Trinity.
Hello, I'm Erin.
Where are you guys from?
I was born and raised in Denver.
All right.
Same.
The same.
All right. Interesting. All right. Well, before we get into it, we got to talk about the purpose of this podcast a little bit. And it's to educate individuals, men and women, about the dating market today, right? At least this episode, that's what's it about. The podcast has a lot more to it. We're going to talk business, all that fun stuff later on. But for now, yeah, we do this specifically to get a better, look into the dating market and where women's heads are at nowadays and men. Because through my eyes, it's pretty twisted and it's pretty, not twisted, but it's messed up a little bit, man. I think our morals have definitely dropped down. So, yeah, we're here to educate a little bit and learn. So, I'm still pretty young.
Well, I agree. So let's touch up on the first topic of discussion. So the first one we're going to talk about is it okay for you to be friends with your ex on any circumstance? Oh, he's a friend of the family, we can't just cut him off completely, or you still have him in your contacts on your social media. Is it ever okay for you to be friends with your ex? We'll start with you, Erin. Go ahead.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I feel like you might be able to be friends with them until maybe, let's say you get into another relationship, and then at that point it's like, okay, do we still really need to be friends with them? Because obviously there's history, and regardless, I feel like that can be carried into the next relationship. So, yeah, maybe if you're single and you guys are just like, hey, we're friends, here and there we say hi. But I don't know. I feel like definitely if you got into another relationship, that should be something that's cut off.
Do you have any personal experience with that?
I do, yes.
So how did that go about?
I don't know. I guess we were still friends for a little bit, but then, yeah, now thinking about it, it probably is something that shouldn't be, really, because you get to a point where it's like, obviously somebody is going to have more feelings for each other, even if you guys are friends. You've experienced who knows what, so... Yeah, actually, no, you should not be friends with the next.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say I disagree. I don't think you should ever be friends with your ex. If I saw my ex in the store, I'd probably turn and walk the other way,
Fair.
I agree, yeah. As soon as we break up, that's it. No friends, no nothing. It's over.
So aside her, neither of you have had personal experience with keeping an ex around after y'all broke up? No. I can't say the same. And that's why I'm here telling you not to do it.
Don't do it.
What was your experience with that?
Mine? Oh, Lord. It was like what she said. It's it gets to a point where one person starts liking the other one more, and then they get jealous about things, even though you're not together. You're just friends. And it just, it's an unnecessary headache. You feel me? Yeah. I gain no value from it. You feel me? I didn't get a peace of mind, nothing. It was toxic, to say the least.
It sounds like you're keeping him around as an option. I'm going to keep him around just maybe if we get back to if they show the right signs, we broke up for something not a big deal, so maybe we'll see.
Keep the door open.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's better to just cut it off.
I love the firmness in her voice when she says no.
No, that's good, though, because I feel like a lot of people, they do that. You feel me? They break up with an ex, and then, literally days, maybe a week later, if they're strong enough, they'll be talking to each other again. And then they'll entertain that until, like you said, somebody else comes in the picture. Now somebody's going to be hurt. You feel me? That's why you just avoid that whole situation, because it's not going to bring you no good. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise. But, so that's it? No experience with, you only had that one?
Yep, I only had that one. I will say, though, unfortunately, it lasted a little bit. So it wasn't something that was just like, oh, we were friends for a little. It probably dragged on for like almost a year.
Dude, that's how mine was.
And then it got to the point where it's just like, okay, now what are we doing? You know, like, what's the outcome here? Obviously, we're not going to take it any further. There's too much now. And like you said, another person comes into the picture. So it's just like, at this point, yeah, no. We're headed down a slippery slope.
Yeah. What about you? Have you had that experience?
Yes. And I would agree that it is not a good idea, but you're going to feel a pain anyway, so just get it over with. It's a terrible thing to just let it linger. You know, it's like climbing up a long, tortuous path. Just sprint up the hill and get it over with.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly. I feel like people try to take it
It's going to be
slow and it makes
painful.
it
It's
worse.
going to be
Yeah.
no matter what, so
Yep.
might as well get it over with.
All right, guys. So the next topic of discussion: is religion important to have in a relationship? We'll start with you, Aaron.
I feel like it's all going to be based on preference. So, like me personally, I know religion is important to me. I know that I love to be involved into the church, and like those principles and that foundation is very important. So I couldn't be in a relationship with somebody if they didn't have those same values as me, because it just wouldn't work out. So I think that's something that you do have to kind of establish and like figure out in the beginning, because if not, if you guys aren't on the same page there, then, you know, that goes far. It's like building a family and, you know, all those things kind of wrap around that. So if you guys aren't on the same page, then that'd be tough. I don't think it would really work out, you know, long term.
All right.
I mean, personally, I don't think it's important, but I know that a lot of people are religious, you know? So if they're gonna be religious, I do agree it should be like a very serious topic conversation in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, I think that somebody who isn't religious might be willing to compromise for somebody who is religious, but I don't think somebody who is religious would be more willing to compromise for somebody who isn't.
Well, I'm more of a spiritual person than religious, so I wouldn't mind if my significant other is not religious, but I would want them to be open to spirituality or do some practices with me.
What is that? Like, what do you mean by that? What type of practices?
Well, like I was raised Catholic. We would go to church every Sunday, and I know that there's like the 10 Commandments, and I know that there's things that the church is not okay with, like the LGBT community and like abortion and stuff like that. So there's some things, like I have a lot of LGBT friends, and I love them. So
Yeah, shout out the LGBTQ community, man.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So, I mean, I don't have any hate towards them, you know, and I'm like, so I just think it's kind of messed up to exclude a group, right? So there's that. And then the spirituality part is like taking care of your energy, your spirit, having the foundation. Like, I love the foundation that, well, some of the foundation that religion implements in us, like being a good person, you know, doing good to others. So I think that's important. But the spiritual part is just like being good spiritually, like not doing things in a mean way because you just want to be mean. Taking care of yourself, letting go of your exes, you know, things that don't serve you, so that you can make space for things that serve you, that you want. Feeling good, helping other people feel good. That kind of stuff. Oh, and practices, like I love nature. Let's see, meditating, journaling, stuff like that, or even sound baths. So yeah, I would love my significant other to be curious about it and open to it.
All right. What about you, AR?
All right, so I'm gonna say absolutely. It's definitely important to have in a relationship, because just like any, and even if you weren't religious, you know, it brings structure to the relationship. It lets you know the boundaries.
In what way?
In a way where, hey, you dress a certain way when you're in church, okay? You know how to dress. You know, there's a certain way you dress outside of church, it's fine. But you go to church a certain way. Sometimes if you're really, well, not sometimes, if you are in your religion like you should be, you're going to carry yourself that way, even when you're not in church. You know, maybe I'm not going to cuss as much. I'm not going to drink so much. I'm not going to smoke so much. Those things carry over. And it's that structure that benefits you. I think people will think religion is like, oh, I'm going to shame you for what you're doing wrong, or you're doing this outside of church and that's wrong. You know, we're all human. The main goal is just to be better in all aspects, and religion does that for you. It makes you better. It holds you accountable. I think accountability is humanity's kryptonite. No matter what background, who you are, accountability is humanity's kryptonite. I don't want to be held accountable for these things. I want to do what I want to do, go back to church, say sorry, and that's it. Go do what I want to do again. But if you're really invested, you're going to go do what you're supposed to do, what you know you should do. You know what I mean? That I think those attributes come from a faith-based relationship.
I don't think it has to come from religion, though. I mean, I don't disagree with you that it does help many people in, you know, a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, isn't that just, like, kind of self-respect and, like, holding yourself to?
What the fuck just happened, bro? God damn, y'all looking.
That's a sign, Trinity.
We were supposed to keep going.
Oh, I thought you told me to stop.
I didn't think you did.
I did stop.
Oh,
Damn.
it's all good.
Well, we're back at it.
Yeah, why would you?
What's good?
No, I want that.
You put that in.
Yeah, I want that in there. Just how cool I was. Boom, caught it. I caught it, son. That's why I didn't break. Or that. All right, bet. So
We're
we
back into it.
before the light attacked us.
All right, you said you think religion doesn't hold people accountable to do better, right?
No, I think it does. I'm just saying that, like, why do you, I don't think it's as important in a relationship, or, like, personally, it shouldn't be as important. I mean, I was raised Catholic. My name is Trinity. You know, I am a member of the Catholic Church. I have done my communion, my confirmation, all of it. But I still don't consider myself religious. I just think it's kind of a little bit of a crutch.
I agree with you. Now, that being said, I believe it's the type of religion. You know what I mean? If because there are those at this table that aren't very as vocal about their faith, you know, but they are in fact they're a believer. You know what I mean? And so, an example I'm going to give you is, let's say, an addict. Okay, an addict knows what they got to do to be better. They got to stop doing their drug. But will they do it? They won't do it. They'll hang around with people that will continue to do it, and that's more of a crutch to me. I think when they go to, you know, a faith of their choice, it doesn't have to be Catholicism, it doesn't have to be Christianity, it could be any one of those, but it's always going to be a higher being that they're going to believe in. That's going to give them that self-confidence that, hey, I'm going to change. I'm going to do it now. They may have just done it on their own, but something had to have pushed them. And it's that little push that's going to give them that faith in whomever they chose to follow in their lifetime.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it also kind of just comes down to, like, yourself and your own mind and, like, holding yourself accountable. But I just think it's a crutch for some things.
And accountability goes over everyone's head.
A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on.
So that's why I think spirituality is important, because you want to be a good person because there's this like universal laws where kind of like karma, and so you want to be a good person. And I do believe in God. I do believe in a higher power, in source. And I just think it's interesting that in middle school I took this class that talked about different religions, and a lot of them had a lot of things in common. And so it just makes me think about like the word one love, where we all really do come from one source, you know, one power, but we're all humans. We all have our own thoughts, our own like, we just kind of like the way we want to go our separate ways or mold or beliefs or experiences, whatever. And I feel like that's where we're all just kind of started separating and started making our own thing. And religion, I respect it. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about any of the religions. I'm just spiritual. But yeah, I do think that like being a good person and wanting better for yourself and that kind of stuff, and respecting your relationship, respecting yourself, carrying yourself right, like that should be something that you want, you know, not so much blame it on religion or like have like religion. Like I think it's important, right? But just like I feel like you should kind of want that for yourself. But I mean, some people do need a support or guidance or a group. But yeah.
Sess?
Well, I was raised Christian, so that's my beliefs right there. But I did have a time period where like I just kind of went on my own way, and I didn't like the results I got from that weren't as good as they were when I was close to the church, you know, and God. So then the way I go about it now, it's like I don't feel as if it's like, oh, you have to be Christian or else I can't be with you, but it's a preference, you feel me? And it's like you got to respect that about me and not try to talk me out of it or nothing like that, because I'll walk out that bitch real quick.
Yeah.
That's about it. Just respect it. That's it.
I think the situation is pretty interesting because I agree that religion is important for a relationship, or that at least it's largely beneficial. But I think that there are still relationships where both parties are religious, but their relationships are still breaking down and they're still chaotic. So just because religion is present doesn't necessarily mean that now you have a winning recipe for a good relationship, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that there are also people who are capable of being moral and good people who don't really need religion for that. But at the same time, I think those, that's kind of far and few between. So at the end of the day, I think people should strive to have religion in their relationship, but they ought to go about it the right way, because just because you have that doesn't mean that now you're automatically on the right track. You really got to dive into it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Same.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with Sess that you have to respect it. So my perspective is, what does the Bible say about it? Because I myself am Christian. And it's interesting because there's a point where it says you don't want to be unevenly yoked. But also, I don't know which letter, so whoever's watching or you guys might know the reference, but Paul says, like, if your wife is not against you following the way, then that's a win. Like, you can keep her because you might be able to show her some things. So I kind of agree with Sess that if you respect it, it's just a chance for me to show you. And as the captain of the relationship, which I believe the man is, they will, they should respect it. You should be a respectable man, deserving respect. But that might show them, the side of religion that they're not seeing. So I don't think it's necessary, but they definitely can't be against you doing it.
And real quick, I want to go off what he just said. Yep. He said that men lead the relationship. Do you guys agree with that?
I think that, because you do hear about, like, okay, women submit to your husband, and, like, oftentimes it's looked at like, oh my gosh, I don't want to submit, because that's me. I am very much like, I don't want to listen to a man, but oftentimes it's because we haven't had men who have been in a position where it's like, hey, I'm honest with you. I treat you with respect, and everything that I'm doing, I'm leading you into, like, a higher place. So it's like, as a woman, you want a man who you're like, hey, I know I can trust them, and, like, their intentions are good. So, like, personally, if, like, there was, like, in my case, I'm like, okay, there's a godly man who, like, I know he has the right intentions, like, I would have no problem of submitting, because I know that, hey, we're a team. And it's not about, like, oh, you're going to take over, or, like, I have no freedom or no right in the relationship. But it's just like, okay, I know that he's looking out for our best interests, Yeah. So, I mean, ideally, you want to be able to know, like, hey, my man's taking care of things and I don't have to worry about it. But a lot of times we are dealt with other men who they don't have that, the best interest, or their heads aren't there. So it's like, I'm not going to listen to you guys, or I don't want to.
And that's fair, yeah.
That is fair, because as a man, you need to be deserving of that respect.
Exactly.
What about you?
I agree with what both of them said. I think that a man should be the leader of the relationship. I think he should be, the head of the household in a way, like, I think that you should be a very supportive person to your husband or whoever you decide to be with. But like she said, it's just hard today.
What do you mean by lead the relationship?
All aspects of that statement.
Like,
Lead it to the direction of where this relationship is going to go. Lead you in how you're going to hold yourself amongst in public, behind closed doors, on social media, both of you, with your children. It's dad's the last say.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's important to have both people have a say in something. But as in being the provider, like, is that what it kind of means too by leading, or?
Sort of. That's
one
his.
of-
That's
yeah.
his role as a man will be to provide. However, it's not saying like you're gonna be his slave. You know what I mean? It's just his last say. Like, we can talk about it. Like, he's gonna take in consideration what you have to say, but his word is the last say because you trust him to lead you to where you want to be in life. You know what I mean? If he's like, you're not going to just let any man into your life. If he's working at McDonald's, lives with his mom, you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to follow you wherever you're going. You know, if he has his own business or has something going on for him of something similar of that sort, you're going to be like, okay, you know what? He knows what he's doing. I trust him with my life to go ahead and lead me in a direction that, because I think he has a future. I think women look to men for their future, and men look at women and judge them by their past.
Well, I mean, I guess I would, if I felt safe with them and I know that we're a good provider, they're a good leader, then yeah, I wouldn't mind like letting them lead me. But I think that it's important to always have like, if we're talking about a specific something, like I think I want to have my say, you know, and I don't want to do it in a competition way, but in a way where you know where I'm coming from, like, or this, if we're opposing, like I want you to know why I'm coming from this point of view, and hopefully find like a happy medium. But I mean, yeah, like my parents, they're very traditional. They're both from Mexico. My dad is the one that worked all the time. My mom stayed home and cooked and took care of us. My mom is very submissive to my dad. And I think it's cool, but I wish I would have seen my mom a little bit more vocal about certain things. So I think that's where I come from, where I wouldn't mind, like if I feel safe and I know you could lead me, like, okay, you know, take the wheel. But if there's things I need to say about a specific something, then I think I should be heard and respected. And again, not in a way where we're going to be confronting each other, like, but just in a way where we're just understanding each other.
So the
Making
end
it
goal
work.
for you is to compromise, is what I'm hearing, right? Because you want to compromise. Because if you don't want it to be contradicting, but you want a solution in the end, right? So that's going to be the compromise, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the key word in your parents, they're married still?
Yes.
How long they been married?
They will be 25 years married next year.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Oh, actually, this next year. Yeah, sorry.
nice. That's
Because
awesome.
we talked about the wedding, the 25, you know, but yeah,
Love
next
it.
year.
Love to hear it. So, based on my experience, when it comes to long-term relationships, marriage, as long as that lasted, I heard the word tradition passed around a lot. The issue with modern day men and women is it's conditional love. So all of you said, I would follow my man if he did this, if he did that, if I feel this, if I feel that. The difference is the man will do what he has to do regardless of how he feels, regardless of how you feel. He will play his role, period. It doesn't matter. Don't get that option to be conditionally dominant, conditionally a man. You know what I mean? We're men all the time. We're shamed for it more so, and I feel like society accepts that a lot more. You know what I mean? So, I will be submissive based on this. Well, I can't say that. I can't say I'll only provide to you if you do this for me. You know what I mean? That would be absurd. That doesn't sound good at all. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. So a question for you all, the Christians or believers and higher powers. Do you believe that God leads you?
I do. Yeah. I definitely feel like, especially like in the sense of like if you're praying and there are things that you're like giving to God, like, okay, God lead me, or like same thing, like doors close or doors open where you want to be, then that's
Okay.
the way it will be.
So the picture of a man to a woman is the picture of God to us. So that's why I do believe that men lead the relationship. But that's interesting what AR said, that it's not, we don't have the option of being conditional. And that is exactly the way God treats us. Is he doesn't, like, whether we accept it or not, he has to. He's going to provide. And it's like we as people, you know, we're conditional about it. So I think it's the same thing with men to women. I thought that was a really good point,
Yeah.
Angel.
To answer, I feel like, yes, the man should be leading the relationship. He should be the provider, protector. And when I say provider, he's providing for his like your guys' family, like him, his wife, his kids, his mom and dad at home, and his siblings, and her family as well. That's how I look at it as a man providing and protecting. It goes for both sides of the family. You can't just be your own. But yeah, I feel like the man leads because, I mean, we just gotta do a lot more to be looked at as like you guys said. It's like there, in order for you to be submissive, right? There's certain things that you need to be done, like on a man's behalf. And a lot of guys nowadays don't necessarily realize that, or they will realize it once they go through certain things. But
A lot of it's too late, man.
yeah, sometimes it's too late for some people, and that's why we're doing this podcast too. But it's like, yeah, there's just like, as far as you got to make us, you got to make a good amount. You got to be like at a good place in your head. You feel me? You got to be charismatic. You got to at least dress somewhat okay. You can't be walking around looking like a goddamn hobo and expect to get a girl. Like, there's a lot more that I feel like there's a lot that goes into it for a female to be like submissive to a man, and also to look at him as high value compared to when a man looks at a woman. It's just like, okay, she looks good. That's about it. Right. She might, yeah.
Done
Seriously.
deal.
For most dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll actually pause before I get into it.
All right,
All right, so what I think about it, I think 100% a man should be leading the relationship. I think nothing really gets done by a committee, and it's inevitable that there would be situations in which you guys completely disagree on, and somebody's voice has to take power over another, essentially. And I just think that if you had to make a decision for who that would be, who is the leader, it would just have to be the man. Because in the differences between the way we think biologically, the man is generally in a better position to think long term with the best case scenario of what we need to do in order to make this work. And that's just going to be a better path for success, in my opinion.
Yep. Logical. Thinking logically is always the best outcome, right?
And if anything, there's a leader. But like with anything, there's got to be a leader. Like you see Target, right? There's a CEO there. There's somebody that's at the top of the food chain. Like with any football, if you look at any sports team, there's a captain of the team. If you look at anything, anywhere, there's always someone that's the head in control. Because you can't just sit here and say things are 50-50, because it isn't. That's not the case. Someone needs to take the lead, and someone needs to take the charge, and usually that's the man. It should be the man,
and
right?
there's a caveat to that. The man's the leader, but that also makes him responsible for everything.
Exactly.
Essentially, right?
That's a toll. That takes a toll.
Yeah, that takes a massive toll. He's the one with the responsibility on his shoulders, which makes him the person who should have the authority to, make certain demands. What he says goes, because he's the one who's responsible for everything. That's the reason why the captain goes down with his ship, because he was responsible for the ship. The ship's going down, the captain doesn't get to be, I'm the first one who gets a boat. That's not how it works.
I was just gonna say, but so women are logical too. Like we, so that's where I come from. Like, yes, I would love the guy to lead, to be the provider, to be the alpha. But I still agree. I still think that we still need to have a say in certain things.
Well, of course. I think that a man should always take into consideration whatever his partner's saying. But if he believes X and his partner says Y, and even though he can see where she's coming from with why she thinks Y, he still says X is the way to go, which X is the way to go. That's just the way it has to be.
Not his ex, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not that.
We already talked about that.
And I'm not saying that women don't think logically ever, but I think that in general, if I wanted to umbrella things, I would say that men think logically and women think emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I would say that the man should be in charge, because he's going to make decisions based off of logic. And, if I ever see a dude, if I ever see a member of this team acting emotionally, anybody at this table is going to call it out.
Yeah. It's not going to be a fun conversation. It's happened, man. So, we keep each other accountable, man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so based off of that, so what do you guys have to say for those chicks that are super I can fix a car by myself. I can fix the drywall, even though they have that guy there that's able to do that. What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Yeah.
Feminism. In a way, it's just how the feminist culture.
Well, I thought feminism was for you guys' rights to vote and work. So what's up with? So I know I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's that's switched to this whole different thing for them trying to fight for their rights, which y'all have a lot of fucking rights now. You guys, if we go to the court of law, you guys are gonna win over a man 99.9% of the time, right?
That's a fact.
So this whole fighting for your rights is it's all out the window now. You can vote, you can work, you can do the same thing that I'm doing right now, right? So what are they fighting for? What do you think that is like what is the purpose of this feminism now?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
know?
too sure what they're fighting for, honestly.
Maybe I do see, like, maybe they had to learn to be independent, or they want to wear that badge where it's like, okay, yeah, I don't need a man. But I don't know. I think that's where it comes from. Maybe they had to go through experiences where they had to, like, kind of be a little bit more in the masculine energy and be, like, cut off those emotions, be a little bit more logical, and be the strong person for themselves. But I don't know. To me, that's a little draining. Like, I want a man. But, yeah.
Maybe it could be like pride, or sometimes too, I feel like throughout the, years, women have kind of, sometimes like too, finding somebody to depend on could be really hard. So like if you go through this time period and you're like carrying the weight on your shoulders, that even if now you have somebody who stepped into position to be like, hey, I'm here to help. If you've been doing it by yourself for so long, sometimes it's hard to be like, wait, can I actually trust somebody to start to help me? Like, can I actually like put some things off onto somebody else? Because like they're used to doing it on their own. So sometimes it can be like that trust, or like, yeah, just being prideful. Like, no, I've got this. Like, I don't need you, kind of trying to stick to their guns. But I feel like in reality, like everybody wants help. And then too, a lot of times we just don't know how to ask for it. So maybe they're just accustomed to like doing it all, that they're like, I don't even know how to ask. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So, let's talk about reality here, okay? So you guys talk about pride and this and that. I think a lot of it's a delusion. A lot of women are on social media talking about men ain't this and that, but they're living that mommy and daddy's house, or they're getting taken care of a certain way, and men are doing it on their own. It doesn't matter how much a mom loves his kid. Like, she's gonna want you to be a man. You gotta be a man, mijo. You gotta go. You gotta get your own place, your own stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think women are held accountable to that stuff. So a lot of women are like, I'm strong and independent. I do everything on my own. But your mom and dad watch your kid while you're at work. They watch your kid while you're at school. You're not doing it by yourself. You have help. Yeah. Men don't have those kinds of resources. Hey, you're a man. You got to figure it out yourself, mijo. You're like, go ahead. Sorry, I want to help you, but I'm not watching nobody's kids. We don't have those kind of resources. Child support. Like it's very, very rare for a man to get child support. And it's very rare for a woman to actually spend that child support on her baby. You know what I mean? They're spending on whatever the case, and they think they're so in the right. Oh yeah, he's some dads have it hard, Oh, I could be a dad, but on a condition. Oh, you can meet your son only if you bring this to the table, or if you have your car, if you have your apartment, if you have this and that. Same as they would if you were just dating. Same situation, which is understandable, but yeah, I think it's delusion. A lot of women say, oh, well, I could do this independently. I do it on my own, when it's really. You're not doing it on your own. You do have help. I don't think a lot of women really know what it's like to do it by themselves. You know what I mean?
Some do.
No, I'm not saying all women. I'm just saying, I'm saying the majority of women.
That goes back to the conditional thing that you were saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I knew you had something up your sleeve. Let's hear it.
That just going back to that, I mean, like, I moved out when I was 17. My parents did not help me. I didn't get any help. So I really did have to go figure it out on my own. I didn't go to college, didn't have the money to go to college. I didn't have the time to go to college with the amount of hours that you have to pull to afford to live here in Colorado. So, it is, you say that you can only be submissive to a man under certain conditions, but it's like, I can't just submit to anybody. I can't. But then you say it's only conditional for women. It's like women are conditional love, but I feel like there's conditions for men too if you're actually looking for something serious, because don't get me wrong, there's the men that are like, she's beautiful, I just wife her up. There's those men that are like that, but then there's the real men, like Cesare is saying, the ones that want to support and like really, really want to take the lead. But it's like,
which of those two men do you want? Which of those two men?
Well, I want the man that really wants to take a lead, but does he want a woman that, speaks up all the time, is like talking out of out of just out of tone.
And those are
or-
things you can fix, right? You don't need any kind of
but
okay.
like
So
you
for
don't want
men,
a
but
woman
that's the
who's all
difference.
over social media. You
Yeah.
don't want a woman who has
Easy stuff.
OnlyFans. Yeah,
Easy.
but those are conditions.
Okay,
Right?
so
Those are your standards,
you
your
being
personal
independent,
conditions.
you being independent, has that hurt your value as a woman?
No.
Okay, me, if I was not independent, that would hurt my value as a man. That's the difference of the condition.
But I feel like it is intimidating to some men. And I feel like it's intimidating to the wrong men. You know,
Yeah,
the men
exactly. I was gonna say it's to the
Right.
wrong
So-
dudes, and yeah.
So I
Right.
think
That's
Trinity's-
you're the gatekeeper though. That's on you, right?
Right.
Right.
But I'm saying it's like you still have conditions. Like you wouldn't want a woman who's out here doing whatever she wants. Like you have your personal conditions and your personal standards too. So it's like I can't just submit to anybody. I have my personal conditions, my personal.
So I think Trinity brings up a really good point here. This is something I kind of wanted to mention earlier, but when we talk about like conditional love and unconditional love and all this stuff, like when it comes to a relationship, I just think the conditions are there. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
if a dude has a chick and his chick starts being disrespectful towards him in public, I don't really care what the last 5 years looked like. He's
Right.
gonna, not really love her as much anymore. That love is conditional that she upholds a certain standard.
Right.
Wow.
The same way that for a man, it's conditional that he upholds a certain standard. If he goes broke and then just resigns himself to smoking weed and playing video games, nobody's gonna fuck
Yeah.
with him either.
Nope.
So, I actually have a question to ask the men on this panel. Do you think most men or the average guy is worth a woman submitting to?
What's the average guy?
Average guy, making about maybe $50K a year, a little bit less. Is you know where the
Average,
bro? Come on,
bro.
you
That's
okay,
average.
look.
50K is
Colorado,
average?
it's
Okay.
average.
Cesar, you know
They
where
say,
the average
yeah.
guy's mindset's at. Do you think that's a mindset? That's a man who's worth submitting to. That's where I'm looking at more. I'm looking at the mind, not really
Right.
the
Yeah.
attributes he has.
So my version of average, I'll tell you this much. As far as the men in here, the way we think, from what I understand and know, I don't necessarily think it's average. Even this one right here, being very young, he's a very smart, talented individual. But, But, wait, what was the question? Rephrase the question again. Sorry, I got lost in the sauce.
He got lost in the sauce. We literally had
Lost
a
in the
visual
sauce.
of him losing himself in the
Yeah.
sauce, guys.
Do you think the average guy or most men are worth
Okay.
submitting to?
If we're gonna like compare and contrast, like no. If you're gonna compare it to like a guy that's worth submitting to, and then the average, no, because I feel like the average guy nowadays is a very emotional thinker, and I feel like the average guy nowadays has more feminine traits than he does masculine.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more difficult for women to then get into submit to these dudes, but they'll still get in relationships with them. Therefore, you see like all this cheating and all this. That's what's going on. They settle for what they can't get. They're not, because the higher ups, and I'm not even saying anybody in this room is up there, but the 1%ers is like that's 1%. You feel me? And there's a lot of females online talking about, oh, my man needs to make 100K, 500K. Shorty, you're not gonna find a guy like that just walking out and about every day. You feel me? And you're not gonna get that guy's attention if you're posting up on social media with all this like haram, degenerate shit.
Yep, and
Like-
the other thing people don't think about in that situation is what's going to set me apart from all the other women who also want Mr. 1%.
Yeah.
Because that dude's spoiled for choice. He can pick whoever he wants.
That's facts.
I agree. You have to find like your typical guy making a grip of money everywhere. I think it goes back to what you're saying, like your mindset. But like, you're not gonna want to be with somebody who, again, is just smoking weed all day, can't get their shit together. You want to be with somebody who has the right mindset, and you can grow. You can grow together with, like, especially here. Like on a one-income household, it's like you have to have gone to school for a long time. Like you better live in a different state if you're looking for something like that. But I mean, if you're even just trying to look for somebody to build with, like you said, love is all conditional. I shouldn't say that.
And I think I think she actually made another great point in there, which is that, so we've talked before about this, but fuck, I think I just lost it. I had it.
Oh, I hate that.
Lost in the sauce.
I hate it. I know.
The
Yep.
sauce sometimes is too thick, man. let's push it to Walter though. What?
Okay.
Relax.
So I don't think it's about the money, first of all. So average salary, it's because everything has become so ridiculously expensive. It's part of being the way they set up the system, let's say. So it's not the money, but I do think the average has shifted over time. So if you looked at, a distribution of men for thousands of years that we've had civilization. So I think that average has stayed the same. And then now recently we've shifted the frame where that average is now considered high end. And so I don't think average men are really what we consider average today are deserving of that. And I would put myself in that category. It wasn't until a year ago I started getting my shit together. So I think we do have to take accountability for that. Yeah. It is harder. It's a harder world. The money is difficult. But there's more to it than that. It's about being a man.
Yeah. You're in competition with every other guy in this world.
And that's another thing that people don't want to look at because it makes them uncomfortable. But dating is competition. Now all the chicks are competing. I just said it. All the chicks are competing for the 1% guy if that's what they're going after. Dudes are competing for the women that they want, but people don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, they don't. And then they think that just by doing the bare minimum, they're going to be able to achieve all this fucking delusion in their head. It's like, you're not, bro. This is a very hard path to get on. And that's why it's called the 1%, because most of you either try to get on it and fall off or just don't even give it a shot to begin with.
It's so terrifying.
It is.
Yep. But I did get my point back about a second after Walter started talking, just like last time. But she brought up mindset. Because we've talked before about how in this day and age, people don't really want to grow together. They just want to, get their partners pre-assembled, people waiting at the finish line.
Yeah, they're just waiting at the finish line, yeah.
But I think that if we're talking about in today's society, people building and growing together, the only thing that you really need to make that work is the mindset. She has to see his mindset. Doesn't always matter where he is right now, but she has to see his mindset and see the ambition in it. And he also has to be able to see her mindset depending on, her situation in order for a couple to build and grow together.
Right. So, he wants to lead and he wants to do that. It's fine. He can take the lead. I can make him his plate in public. I can cook for him. I can clean for him. I can, be quiet. I can, possibly do the religion thing. It's all a matter of, give and take. But it's he has to be willing to, understand that if we're going to grow together and you don't make the kind of money that you want to make right now, I may have to go get a job, and you do have to respect the hours that I'm working. You do have to respect,
Yeah.
There is certain things, and it's back to even what she said, her wanting to have an opinion, that's all okay, but it's do it behind closed doors. If he's saying something and he's saying it in public, we're going to look like a flock of silly geese together, if you're going to be a silly goose over here. So it's just a matter of mutual respect, and you guys really have to have that deeply for each other if you're going to have the kind of relationship that we're talking about.
Yeah.
This girl's spitting.
Can I add to that? So two things. Yes, I think the respect is very important. I want to be a team with my man, right? I don't want to be fighting against each other in public or in private. I want us to both be kind of like the infinity symbol, where we're gonna have opposite opinions, but we're not here to fight. We're here to somehow get along and merge those ideas. And then the other one is talking about mindset. Does that 1% with the mindset want just a doll? Wouldn't you want if you're that 1%? I imagine that you're just very your mind is just insane. Very, it likes to get stimulated, and you would like to have good conversations. So do you just want someone that looks good and doesn't say anything?
Absolutely. Yes. No. Well, yes, I wish my woman was a robot, honestly, quite frankly.
That's the goal.
Why are guys dating AI?
Yeah, seriously. I'm because you got to think about it. If you're
why were sex robots a thing?
If you're with that guy that is a 1%er, that dude is handling a fuckload of shit. You feel me? I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not there, but I have been around those kinds of men. I have a very good look into what it takes to get there. And those dudes are busy 24/7, so I'm sure that when they get home, they're not trying to get home to debate with their chick about anything. No, they're going to go home.
You have to be his peace.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. You got to be his peace.
Yeah.
It's got to, because that's the, when a guy is that busy and he has a little bit of free time and he dedicates that free time to you, it's you got to really take that into consideration, because his time is his money. So if he's taking time away from all that to just hang out with his female, then that's a very big thing for him. You feel me?
And I want to add to that as well. You had mentioned looking good and being quiet, right? So in the worldview of the 1%er, which, is what Cesare was talking about, in that worldview, that guy is probably looking for a girl who's gonna like add to his image, add to his status. Looking good's a part of that. If he chooses to bring you around a professional environment that's full of people who he could be doing business with, knowing when to shut up is also very important. Knowing how much you should say, or like going up to people and like introducing yourself. If he doesn't want you doing that, you know, just kind of being there to look good and be pretty, that might be what he wants.
Yeah.
You know, that might be all he really needs you there for in that particular situation.
That's why you see these successful men say they have a trophy wife. You feel me? That is the prize that he won for being successful. It's like, forget the house, forget the money. It's like he's got a solid woman with him that looks good and respects him and takes care of him when he's on his downtime.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Being the peace, being the nurturer, the feminine energy for this male or like alpha energy, I would suppose, if he's the 1%. But wouldn't you want, like, I mean, I don't know, like, yes, you want them to be the trophy wife, but that trophy wife, like, I'm sure also like adds value to you, right? Like,
yeah, I want a girl that has brains. That's for sure.
Like
yeah, I don't want
that probably will help you expand on an idea, or like ask you the right questions to lead you to like your own answer. But yeah, that's
You're tiptoeing on a double-edged sword. So you want him to bring value. You're talking business-wise. There's a saying: you don't dip the company pen.
You don't dip your pen in company ink.
Right. So you don't mix business with pleasure. Your girl is not for business purposes. It's to support. So support is not. I'm not looking for a business partner. You know, I'm looking for a partner just to help me in life, to take away the pain that I'm going through as a man. All of this that I have to go through daily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I think that that answers your question. You know what I mean?
To say, but
Right.
just to like add on, I feel like for me personally, right? So let's say if I go to the chick about one of the businesses that I'm doing, I'm like, well, yeah, today we did this, and that. I'm just not sure. You know, these are my two options, and I'm not sure which one. And then she's like, well, I think, you know, woody woo. Like, I'll take that into consideration. Yeah. You know, like I said, I want a chick with brains that's able to provide, you know, like a good, like, just like, I don't know, just keep me on track.
Support.
Really. Yeah, good support.
You don't want her to go networking for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're not looking for a business part.
Yeah,
you want support. Hey, write down these little notes. You know, I got this meeting going on tomorrow. Write down what my appointments tomorrow.
If I got something like, yo, I got to send a bunch of emails today. I already have them written up. All you got to do is hit send. Like, cool. You feel me? You can do that. But, like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yo, I got this meeting with this guy. I can't make it to it today, so I'm going to send you. Like, no, I'm going to go send one of him. I'm going to send you. You feel me? I'm going to send one of my guys to go do that.
Yeah, and I don't mean business partner,
Oh.
you know, like, being on the same team, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm coming from my, like, if I am having some type of issue with my job or my business, like, I want to be able to talk about it with my partner, and I want my partner to, like, not, like, I guess maybe as a provider too, I'd want him to help me kind of, I don't know if figure it out, but I don't know, help me
Just to
brainstorm.
point you. Yeah,
or,
exactly.
You know,
just throw ideas out there.
Yeah, like, I would want, like, to have a partner with a brain. But yeah, so that's why I wonder, like, don't they want to have like the 1%, or, you know, just any man with like goals and like ambition want to have someone that also has someone like a woman that looks good but also has ambition, that has a brain, you know, like, and if she does, like, I think it'll be hard to find one that is just like, you know, just quiet all the time and doesn't really have like something to say or add.
So it can depend. So it kind of depends on the type of ambition. If she has ambition to go off and do her own thing, then it might create a bit of a tricky situation, because if we're talking about a guy who's on his shit, he's doing all this business, he's got all these things he's got to do, all right, and you're coming in to join his team as his partner but do your own thing, it becomes a bit disjointed. But if she were to come in, join his team, and be the support role for that, and her ambition was to fulfill that role, then that's a very different situation.
So you would say, so you're saying basically like have a woman that's just doing my thing and she doesn't have like her own thing going on, like, I don't know, her career?
That creates room for competition between you two.
What?
That creates room for competition, because then you're doing your thing, he's doing his thing. Someone has to prevail. You're not going to have enough time to do your guys' own thing and be together at the same time.
Yeah.
It becomes
And
competition.
I can tell you that from experience. You feel me? Right now, like, there's been, like, within the last, like, few years, I've gotten a lot more busier. Like, I just shut out Andrew Tate, man. But, like, because, like, ever since I got involved with that world, just, like, I just switch, I had the switch hit on me, and I just started doing a lot. I was just out. So like I've encountered situations where I've like talked to females where they're doing their thing, right? And it really doesn't work, because it's like I'll be like, yo, I'm over here, I might need help with this. Could you come over here and help? Like, no, I can't. I have to do this. Like, I don't. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna talk to you no more. It's like I respect. Go do your thing, right? But
you guys laugh, but you would do the same thing. Go ahead, continue.
But it's like if I can't have somebody there that's gonna be like helping me with my business and grow our empire, why are you gonna go try to grow your own if I'm already growing one? It's not like I'm just starting. I'm already in the process of everything.
Yeah,
I think it just depends on where you're at, though. Because, you want a woman who's smart and you want a woman who has brains, but it's like you're not going to meet a woman at our age who doesn't have a job, who doesn't have her own thing going on. You're not going to find that, unless she is one of those women who is living in her mama's house or staying, everyone's got their own thing going on. It's just a matter of how you guys decide to mesh your lives together and whether or not you guys have the same mindset. So you can't just
Well, that's what I mean. Like, she can have her own thing going on, right? But when she gets involved with me on a serious relationship, she needs to understand that can't be the case no more.
Right.
And like I said, like you said, I have to be in a position to be able to do that as well.
Right.
So I'm not just trying to sit here and talk on my ass, but that's what I'm saying. You are the man is in that position. So if I'm in that position and I'm doing all that, and I have a chick over here that's trying to, grow her own thing and do her own thing, it's just not gonna work with me, because I'm trying to do the same exact thing, and I'm gonna need my spouse's help. If she can't provide that, then it's not gonna work.
So at the end of the day, you want someone that's gonna be like that you're gonna be taken care of.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say I want a fucking, I don't want a kid. But like I said, I feel like every man has the role, or has he has to be able to provide for his woman. I feel like if you're a guy and you cannot provide for yourself and a girlfriend, then you should not be in a relationship to begin with. Seriously, you got to get your shit together first of all. Because you can't just go home and chill with your girl every single day and not do anything. You're gonna have to take her out. You're gonna have to go show her a little bit of something. And if you can't provide that, then you shouldn't be in a relationship.
And that's why we're here. We're here to let men know, stop chasing women. Build yourself up first. That should be your priority, not knocking boots. You know what I mean? That's on every guy's mind. How do I get this girl to knock boots with me? That's the game plan.
I haven't heard the term knock boots in a minute.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's the majority of men. Those are the men that you guys deal with, that you guys talked about. Like, that's not they don't have the right intention. Exactly. That's the majority of men nowadays. That's what they want.
I'll tell you this much. The high levels, or people attempting to get to that high level, they're not sitting there fucking hearting all your pictures, commenting on your pictures, swiping up all them. They're not doing any of that. They might say a little something here and there to get your attention, but that's about it. You feel me? It's not going to be a consistent thing, and a lot of women get that nowadays. They post the stupidest picture ever, and boom, you see all these motherfuckers up in there fucking, you're so beautiful, oh my God, I've never seen anyone like you. I've seen about 1 million bitches that look like you in a matter of a few swipes. So I don't know what you talking about, man, but like, you bored, nigga. Like, go get a job, go start training, go do something. Yeah. So it's like, that is the majority of people though. Like, and then women go and see and look at those guys and they're like, oh, like, they'll try to compare those dudes with the guy that they're with, and I've seen that happen too. They're like, oh, well, I have all these other options. It's like, bro, you really don't. Like, you really don't. Like, the second he claps, he's not gonna respond, and if he does, it's gonna be slow, short responses. You feel me? Yeah.
Hell yeah. I co-sign on that.
Well, I've got 2 anecdotes from both sides. I've dated an ambitious woman. Or I guess maybe girl's the right word. It was a few years ago. And
whoa, bro. No.
What? Not like that. and recently I didn't date this female, but I was smitten by her. So the girl that I dated.
Excuse me, sir. What does smitten mean?
Smitten means that you are in love.
Oh.
Yeah. I was just smitten because she was so quiet, and when she was asked something, she responded with intelligence. But she was quiet, and you know what? I loved was the laugh. She just laughed. That's easy. Men are so simple. The ambitious woman, it was like sandpaper in my ears. I genuinely couldn't. I couldn't handle it. And, you know, I'm mostly a nice guy, but I was like, dude, I can't fucking do this.
Okay, I gotta ask, like, what about it made it like sandpaper in your ears?
Okay, so I was seeing her for a while. It was about like 7 or 8 months, but she was so if she's watching, I'm sorry.
You're okay. Look,
she was
woman, this is your fault.
She was a psychology major and she was a double major at DU, and so she knew everything. And so she's talking all the time. I'm like, dude, I think this is why men tend to, you know, shoot themselves. It's so, it was so painful. I couldn't do it, so I had to break up with her. That is my experience with an ambitious woman. It's like, so I can't speak for what the 1% likes. I'm not a part of that. I can't speak for every man, but my personal preference was like, it's not attractive in any way, shape, or form. I was attracted to her looks. I was attracted at the beginning, but it's not sustainable. And this other lady, I didn't date, so I don't know how that would have worked long term, but it was just easy. It's just easy if you're quiet and you laugh. Yeah. That's my preference.
Yeah. Right, hold there.
Hold there?
Yeah, hold there.
All right. Based off what he was saying, with the whole, you know, sandpaper in the hand and wanting to shoot yourself within the pit, is what he said. Yeah, like I've had a situation where I've been with a girl that was ambitious and was like one that wasn't. And I'll say the one that had the ambition definitely drove me to a sanity to a certain degree, because like everything was a fucking argument. Almost every single day was an argument about something, even if it was the slightest, smallest thing. She always wanted to debate me on it. She always wanted to be right. Like and I would even say there's like sometimes when you have a conversation with somebody, there's not always a right or wrong. You feel me? There's your point of view and there's my point of view and there's that. That's it. There's no right or wrong. And with my experience with an ambitious woman, that's not like they don't understand that. They want to be right. They want to like have that thing over you. You feel me? And that's what it felt like to me. It felt like a competition. Her trying to just be better than me in a way, just because like I'm doing what I'm doing. And yeah, it's what he says, like sandpaper. Like it's just like imagine a baby crying in your ear all day and all night for no reason after you've done everything you could to make it, you know, okay. You fed it, you put it to sleep, you took it out for a walk, all of it. It's the same fucking thing. I'm not saying that women are like ambitious women are like little babies, but it's just a good analogy that I could think of right now. That's it. But it's seriously, it's like a nagging ass kid trying to be right. So yeah.
Make it stop.
Mm-hmm.
But so you guys know that we hear all the time, like, oh, we asked an old couple for their advice on how to stay married and how to keep a healthy relationship, right? I heard one of those that was actually worth remembering. And I just want everybody at the table's opinion on this particular story. But I don't remember all the details, but the story basically goes that a man and his wife were out at a gathering, a function of friends, and he decided to tell a story that included the both of them, and it was like a year prior, and he goes through this super long, like 20-minute story with all these different details. And hours later, after they had left, his wife said to him in the car, "You know that story you told earlier? You weren't there." Like, no, you weren't there. I told you about that story because, you know, the stereotype, women got them insane memories. No, you weren't there. I told you about that story after the fact, and somehow you've inserted yourself into it. But the point of that story is that she chose to bring it up way later, and she didn't feel the need to correct him in public and start an argument over, no, you weren't there. Yes, I was. No, you weren't. Trust me, I'm the one who told you that story, and blah, blah, blah. That situation doesn't happen while you're in public, and they restrain that kind of stuff to only in private.
Yeah, and that's like an issue that I ran into it. There was like certain debates that we had that like were around like friends or like, I mean, shit, he was there to witness like, yeah, a few of them actually. Shout
out to Cliptix, he's behind that camera.
Yeah, shout out to Cliptix. Y'all go follow him on Instagram, man.
What is his Instagram?
Cliptix. It's the stage name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. His real name is Riley, guys. The blonde one that usually sits right here.
Well, people can't tell he's blonde, bro. He has a beanie on all the time.
Did you not do one without? Man, goddamn, we gotta focus on it.
All right, we're gonna start a new round. All right. So the round we're gonna start is a statement that I'm gonna say. All right, and I want to hear your opinions on it. And I wrote it down because I forget. Why do women like the bad boys? And why do men cheat with bad girls? We'll start with you, Aaron.
Okay, real quick, just to clarify, bad girls. Do you mean like bad in like? Because the term "bad" is used in a good way now. You feel me? Oh, she's bad.
Well, the question is,
Like,
why do men cheat with bad girls? Like they're not gonna be good either way because they're involved in cheating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in that term of bad, not like she's bad, like she's fine. She probably is fine because he went out. Well, not always. You're right. Now we're getting really complex with this question.
Oh, no, yeah, I am. I was gonna say in my experience, I've seen like when dudes cheat. Not myself. I don't do that. I'm a man of God. But some of my friends, it's like they'll have like their chick, right, that they consider like a 8 or a 9 or a 10, and then they'll go ahead and cheat with like a 5 or a 6. You see what I'm saying?
Do you think that's because his girl withheld that from him, or is there any valid reason that he did that, or just because it's all around?
That's the extent of my knowledge. I never really dug into it. Like, oh, did you do that because your girl is not giving it up for you at home, or just, what was the motive behind it?
Right.
So I never got into it, but that's what I've seen in my experience.
So the statement's valid. Men cheat with
Bad women.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like when guys cheat, they go for lower level chick because they're more willing to do something like that. I feel like.
And also, do you think it's a factor that men can't get women as easily as women can get men?
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. I think it's a
feel
factor
like
as well.
men get women way easier than
Absolutely fucking not.
Yes,
Absolutely
I think
fucking.
so.
I guarantee you. If we okay, maybe not with me. You can't compete with me. It's different. But if I were to go pick up a worm from the streets, right? And I was like, all right, you post a picture, he posts a picture. Let's see who gets the most likes. Let's see who gets the most comments. Let's see who gets the most compliments. Who do you think is going to win that?
I don't know.
I think you would. 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. Right? And it goes back to the conversation we had earlier. You said that for you to submit to a man, he has to have XYZ. Right? So these dudes that don't have XYZ, they don't get that female attention. I'm telling you right now. From being that person in the past, from having certain people around me that are not quite there yet, like that's the situation. Like I have seen dudes that most women consider good looking, but they don't have the drive, the ambition to be better in life. You feel me? They don't have a good work. They don't have a good mindset, and that even their looks doesn't get them women. So there's dudes that are ugly as shit, but they have all that other stuff, and they get the hottest, the prettiest of chicks, right?
At me.
But they have to have XYZ. A chick just has to look good. A guy is not going to look at a female and be like, oh, I wonder where her, like, maybe for me, like, you can't be doing OnlyFans, or I'm not Adam 22. So,
shots fired.
But I'm going to shoot shots at him until he's fucking sick. But yeah, so it's like, I feel, no, it's not. I promise you it's not.
Okay. Because
a girl just has to look good. You feel me? A guy has to have a lot of different things for a chick to consider him, like, to even just sleep with him. She has to have a level of respect for him, and most guys don't have that thing to him to have that level of respect.
And the simplest example is if a girl walks into a bar and says, sleep with me, there's at least a guy who's going to do that. Yeah. But there's definitely multiple. Right? If a dude walks into a bar and says, someone sleep with me, every chick is avoiding him the entire night.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck? What, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, I guess I see.
Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong.
Do you agree now, though?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Oh, Walter.
But what made you think that to begin with? Like, what made you think that guys sleep around more or get more than chicks, or it's easier for them?
I don't know. I feel like, at least me personally, I always hear more about, like, a man cheating, or a man, like, being with other women. So I feel like in that case, they're just able to.
Well, he's just being a man.
I know, but that's the thing. Is like men are just men, and so a lot of times I feel like them too. They have the ability to like call up a woman, and like we've all said, women can be very emotional, you know, so like it's easy for a guy to like start talking to a woman and then
Just bounce.
manipulate them and
Yeah.
just do their thing.
Do you think it's just because you notice those guys though, and you don't even notice the other guys who aren't getting girls? So it's just your
Probably.
kind of a confirmation bias, like those are the only ones you're paying attention to.
That's probably
Because there are interesting stats out there that men our age, it's like 67% of them are not seeing anybody, at least claiming. You know, there's always these questions with these studies, but what they claim is that, and then there's like 20-something% of girls. So it is very, like, it's extreme on the other side.
Okay.
And yeah, and like when a girl leaves a relationship, like most of the time you don't see a guy go and hop in right in another one, right? It's mostly the females that'll go and hop right in another relationship. Like
That's not always true either.
For short-term
No, okay.
relationships, not
For-
long-term relationships.
there's exceptions into every situation. There's exceptions, right? There are people who are different. There are people who are not like that, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a worm. I'm not. but yeah, there's exceptions to every situation. But if you're looking at the overall number of things, then that, you feel me? If you're looking at just social media, what they present to us, that's what you're gonna see. And I'm saying that from even like people I personally know. Like y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, that's just wild. It was a 5-year relationship, Dunzos, right? And then less than a month later, Shorty's already out taking trips with another man. So, yeah. I feel like it's a lot easier for a chick. They just gotta, like, not to be disrespectful, but all they gotta do is offer some coochie. 90% of dudes are gonna be like, bet.
So why do girls like bad guys? Because I see the arrows pointing at the men. Like,
Like, what do you mean, bad guys?
so you
Like,
can
same
have
definition of what you meant by
negative.
Like, bad girls. Or,
That's
yeah,
a great
exactly.
question.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and answer that for you.
Okay.
So you could be talking to a guy. He meets all your standards: tall, good looking, talks well, has a future, but he doesn't have any excitement. You know, he don't have tattoos. He's not a troublemaker. He doesn't have a past like in that environment. Women tend to drift towards the guys that have some kind of drama, you know, and that's why there's so many baby daddies that are deadbeat baby daddies, because that's who they end up having babies with. You know what I mean? So like, you're the gatekeeper at the end of the day, so you're not just gonna sleep with anybody. So why did you sleep with this person, and why did you end up having a baby with this person? You knew all the red flags, you just chose not to acknowledge them. Yeah.
I don't know if I know that that's kind of like what our generation is like right
Yeah.
now, but I don't know. Just from personal opinion, that shit's crazy.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
I
kinda
agree.
like, I don't know if maybe they think it's like the thrill or some kind of excitement, maybe like, but yeah. Personally, I'm like, that is.
It's the thrill of the situation, and women like men that are unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can be unpredictable in a good way and in a bad way. So if your man is just See, the thing is, like, a lot of dudes that are on this grind, at first, it's going to be boring. Like, this man has to fucking work in order to get that house, the car, the lifestyle, you know, to provide.
Absolutely.
So if you have an understanding of that, then things should be A-okay.
I mean, you may be at work too. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you got to find a balance between things. But I feel like, yeah, when women cheat with these bad boys, it's just for like a temporary dopamine hit. That's really it. It's like, and then reality hits, and then we all know how that fucking cookie crumbles. So
Exactly.
I have no idea. No, I don't know why anybody would have a baby with someone that can take care of
Yeah.
The
their
first
baby.
or
I
second.
don't have babies. I don't.
does it say nobody here has kids?
No.
I do.
Angel.
I got
Me.
7.
7.
Yeah. No, I'm just joking.
Boys or girls?
I'm just
Good
playing. I have
mix.
0. I have 0 kids. I do want like 30 though, if I could.
30 of
But-
them.
Yeah, 30 of
Is
them.
Is that how
back
many
to your
you
question,
want?
I don't.
It's
I don't know
low.
why women do that. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, personally, it's for me more about like our connection, your mindset, like who you are as a person, what kind of.
So I got something to say.
Yeah.
So just hold on real quick. Has anyone, you 3, ever cheated on somebody?
No.
When I was like in middle
Haram.
school, yeah. But
Sorry, but how old were
I
you?
mean, I did it once. Yes, I did it once, and I was like in middle school. But even that, I felt so horrible.
How dare you?
And after that, I'm like,
If he's watching,
I'm good.
we got your back.
Oh, dude, bro, that kid turned into a savage. I guarantee you he's probably a millionaire right now just
Yeah,
because
good
you
for
did
him.
that. That was played. But yeah, that's okay. That's, yeah. Like in middle school, I had a girlfriend every 2 weeks. So it's like, I don't feel like it counts so much because I don't know.
I can't relate. I was the ugly guy.
I will say,
all my life.
I will say, like, there's girls like in middle school that I've seen that have certain behaviors that did transpire into their adulthood. You know what I'm saying? That went away. So I guess it does matter to a certain degree, but as long as you learn from it, right, and improve from it, that's all you can do. That's good. That's good. Middle school is not bad, and you two have never, not even close.
Not even close.
That's crazy.
I've also only ever been in one relationship.
That is rare.
Excellent.
Stop the cap.
Serious. That's why I think like when you talk about like, oh, girls have so many options. Because with me, I'm just like, I have like 0. So where are all the options?
I think that goes into the way you conduct yourself. Okay, so you are a woman of God. You know that. Immediately you lost a majority of men. They're like, oh, shit, I know she's not going to give it up.
Yeah,
so I'm
over
not even
50,
going to bother you. I'm not even going to DM you. I know what you're about. That sounds exhausting. I'm not in it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's why.
Yeah.
You carry
It
your,
was
you
so
conduct
fun.
yourself a certain way too. You're independent. You know what you want. Those are masculine traits that you have, so that comes off as competition, not intimidation, but competition. Okay, so
Yeah, to some.
so that's why men wouldn't immediately approach you either. They look at you, oh, she looks good, but once they get to know you, like, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
It's like intimidation or
No,
like,
it's
what
not
is it?
intimidation. So when women say they're independent and that intimidates men, they don't see it as an intimidation. They see it as competition. I'm in
Okay.
competition with you to be the alpha of our relationship. I need to be this
But
top
that's why you have to
perfect
be heavy
guy.
on getting to know the person. Like you have to be heavy on, like Seth said, you have to set aside time. Like he's busy and you have to set aside your time for him. Like it's a matter of respect.
I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you a question. If I lived at home with my mom, smoked weed all day, but I was the coolest guy you ever met, would you give me a chance?
No.
Exactly. So that none of that matters. You
Right.
could be the coolest guy. You say connection. It's the connection. You can have the perfect connection. If I ain't got a future, I don't have a chance. So I think the whole connection and the vibe, the person, that's not valid at all. I think a man
to
needs
an
to be
extent it
somebody.
is.
Of
I
course,
mean,
of
yeah.
course. It's not saying that's a blanket over every man and woman, of course, but the majority of men and women, no woman wants a bum. Every man will date a bum, no problem. You're a woman that lives at home with your mom, it's all good. You don't need to bring nothing to the table. I'm the provider.
Let me put it this way, right? If you look at successful women, it's very unlikely that they're going to go through Instagram and find a guy that has 200, 300, 400 followers, even in the low thousands, and be like, oh, I want to hit him up and give him a shot. That's never going to happen. But a guy that has that kind of money is going to look for a chick that's low key. It's not all over social media. That's not, all these rappers and other and actors have had her. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, I feel like as far as what you guys are talking about right now, because I kind of came in a little, had to get cigars, sorry. But yeah, I feel like a woman that's in a position of power in most, I'll say, there's all exceptions, right? But the majority of women that are successful, are not going to give these lower level dudes a chance. But a guy that's up there, he's not going to, it doesn't matter to him whether she's at home with her mom, in an apartment by herself, or fucking living in a house with 10 of her friends. That won't matter as long as she's falls in line with his morals and his structure.
So I didn't get a chance to answer Walter's question earlier. His question was, does the average man deserve for a woman to be submissive to him?
That was my question.
Oh, that was your question? Oh, I didn't get a chance to answer Dad's question.
Yeah, I don't think I asked a
Okay.
question. Sorry.
So for me, it's all about mentality. Just like it would be for anything, for any person, whether you're top high value or not. It's all about mindset, how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself. That's how you have a future as a man, okay? I could be in a tough spot, but if I have the right mentality, I will get that submission either way. There's a way of going about stuff. I could be a manager at McDonald's, but if I ask you to do something, whether I'm on the highest of hierarchy or not, if I talk to you the right way, I'm going to get it done. That's how one percenters get stuff done. That's how they network. That's a masculine trait. You know what I mean? But that was to answer that question. Now I have a question. I want to know if this statement resonates with you guys. When it comes to men want a woman that no man can get, but women want a man that every woman wants. What do you think about that?
I'm guessing if everybody wants him, it's because he's handsome, right? He's good looking
He's got
and he
something
has a
going for
future,
him, yeah.
right? I mean, yeah, I want that. I don't really care if a lot of women want him or if nobody wants him. But I do care that he's, like I'm attracted to him, that he has something going on. And women, I mean, but and then what was the other question? The man don't want a woman.
A
that
man
everybody
wants a
can-
woman that no man can get.
I mean, I would assume so, right? But I feel like I want someone that, not every girl can get too.
Well, that comes with the man's discipline, right? If you're gonna be at that high of level of nonchalant in life, then you have discipline because that's the only way you're gonna get there. So like that's like one thing that I want to do clear up. It's like this is not a fucking red pill channel. I'm not a red pill community guy because that main focus is just on females. That's all they focus on, right? So with this situation, like
Hold on. The red pill dudes also refuse to take accountability themselves, and which makes them hypocrites. And we're not hypocrites here, so
Yeah.
we're not red pill. Fuck you.
Fuck you, for real though. But yeah, dudes have to have discipline. Even if you're able to get all these chicks, you have to have that discipline to not go around sleeping with them. And the way I look at it is like, I don't want people to have that access to me. I don't want to like, one day my channel just blows the fuck up and then this chick sitting here like, oh, I slept with him, I know him. Like you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's less people to trace back to me. So that's how I look at it. I feel like dudes have to have that discipline. If they don't, they're a worm.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, it's hard to have that discipline, especially in this day and age. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't have that self-control to be like,
No.
oh, no, I'm good and I'm satisfied. And, like, again, like, that whole conditional thing is, like, things are going to happen. There's going to be issues that present itself. But it's like, okay, at the end of the day, like, where you're at. You're good. And you know that you're going to work through what you have and not be distracted by anything else. But it's hard for people to be like that nowadays.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe
You don't know
like as
why?
options. I also
I think
think
there
like
is options,
social
yeah.
media, kind of plays a big piece in it. And
Absolutely.
there's just, you can literally pick up your phone, download an app, and have thousands of people that you could be looking through at any time, know? So it's easy. It's very easy.
I think social media has put into people's heads that they can get to people that they really can't. They're out of their league. Oh, I could get this girl, but she's nowhere in your league. Or I can get this man, but you can't. You really can't. It's providing a lot of delusion to people. Social media has really corrupted a lot of relationships, a lot of people's mindsets.
Unrealistic expectations of reality.
Exactly. Oh, I got 2,000 likes on one picture. I deserve the best man anyone can get. You know what I mean?
There's so many pictures that like I feel like most girls average in at like 500 likes to 1,000 likes. That is not a big deal, right? It's a big deal. Like if I scroll through a girl's Instagram and I see like no flicks of her like standing in the mirror showing her ass off or cleavage off, that's what's like, oh damn, I was expecting to see something, right? But that's not the case nowadays. Like you'll scroll, and that's all you see. You feel me? And every chick is getting hella likes, hella comments. This ain't nothing new. It does not make you different or special from any of the other females doing the same exact thing, you know what I'm saying, that they're doing on social media. It's like you got to do something to separate yourself, just like the men have to do something to separate themselves from the worms that are very toxic.
So obviously, when it comes to that situation, women know what they have to do, not post certain visual photos, for men to like. And for the men, the message here is to not like every picture you see. have some self-control. That way you can carry that into real life. That way if an opportunity ever presented itself, you know, hey, I could say no. I can conduct myself as a man. I don't have to say yes to every opportunity that comes across the table.
I got a question for the guys at the table, right? Because you brought up a point. So it's like, if for dudes that go and have all these females that they follow on Instagram, right? These Instagram models, these celebrities, whatever they may be, and they're posting provocative pictures, but you're liking them, but don't want your girl to post that type of stuff. Like, how do you think that applies? Like,
I think it's ridiculous for a dude to be putting his energy towards that. Like, this is some random chick on social media. It's not like you're about to be dating her after you like this picture. It's not like you're going to get to sleep with her after you like this picture. So why are you doing it? That's my thing with that. I don't think it's really beneficial. I'd never really like chicks' pictures. If I like a chick's picture, it's because the caption warmed me up to it. That's the entire reason.
Nice.
oh my God, Devin, you're such a good dude.
But no, that's like, maybe I couldn't even tell you, dude. I'd have to think for hours to find a single picture from a chick I ever liked.
Damn. Well, I cannot say the same, but it's like, I've definitely, within the last year, been like, every time I see an Instagram model that I do follow, it's like, I don't follow that shit, just because it is bad for the brain, bro. I feel like it's very toxic, and it's like, you're just looking at women for their body. It's like, and then like what I said is like, if I don't want my girl posting that, then why the fuck am I here following all these females that are posting this shit, you know?
So what do you think got you to that point, though? Because, like, you talk, obviously we're talking about it because there's a lot of men who follow these women and who like all these pictures. So how did you get to the point where you're like, oh, I see this. Okay, I need to get this out of my...
For me, it was like, I saw a video, but it's like kind of what Devin said. It's like, dude, like, I don't got a chance with this chick. And even if I like, he's like, and even if like I wanted a shot with her, it's like, I have to do so fucking much. You feel me? And sitting here on Instagram, scrolling through her pictures and look, you know, I've never commented. I've never been that guy, but just liking all these pictures and seeing this shit, like, it's like, that's not going to get me nowhere. So it's like, I started unfollowing it. And like I said, I have like you can call it whatever you want, man. It could be ego, big head, whatever. But like, once my following grows and I get the little blue check mark on Instagram, I don't want to be following all these fucking people. You feel me?
Okay.
I want to be following people I have respect for and actually, like, you know, care to see what, you know, they're posting. Like, I don't really give a fuck what niggas are posting, but like, it's just people I don't mind what they post. You know, they're cool people. You know, they might be able to drop some knowledge or say some facts on their page, something like that. But I just felt wormish liking girls' pics that I don't know them. You feel me? They don't know I exist. Like, and I'm over here showing them all this like love on, like, it's like, bro, nah, that's just weird to me. It got weird to me. You feel me? And then I started seeing like how many fucking guys do it, and it's just like, damn. I was like, all right, I don't want to be like everybody fucking else.
Okay.
But that's what made me like, yeah. What about you, Walter? Do you still go liking these Instagram models things?
No, I don't like them. But I do look at them.
Don't like it, guys.
Maybe I don't hit the heart because I don't follow people, but I do like looking at them. My grandfather said women are like decorations, like they're just nice to look at, and it is a problem.
Shout out to Gramps.
His name was Walter, by the way. So
shit! Shout out Walter Senior, man.
Rest in
Walter
peace.
Senior.
Yes. So I know it's a problem, but that's the thing about humans. It's like we do things we know that is bad. So it's a problem, and I do think it's hypocritical to go like all of these pictures and you yourself are like, women shouldn't do that. Well, there's a cognitive dissonance there, and you recognize that. That's good. But most people can't. I mean, it's just like any other problem in the world, an alcoholic or something. It's like, we know it's bad, but we do it. Exactly. So it's a problem. But as soon as you can recognize that, though, and you try to reconcile that dissonance, it's like, what the fuck is going on? I can't be doing this. It's good. I never liked them, but I do look at them, so I will admit that.
Yeah, I might fucking see it on accident. You feel me? I can't fucking...
Oh, no. How did this show up?
Yeah, but oh, my gosh. Fuck, man. I got to put my phone down. This is fucking haram. My virgin eyes. No, but... All right, so...
Hold on, let's hold there.
All right, so as I was saying, With that being said, the social media stuff, all these options that you have, do you guys think that body count matters for a woman and a man?
I didn't get to answer it.
Oh, shit, you didn't?
I'm a hypocrite. I like pictures. I'm a guy. Naturally, I see something I like, I'm gonna like it. It doesn't do me no harm. The standards I have for my relationship isn't going to apply to any other girl except my own. So I think it's definitely something I definitely can work on. I shouldn't do that. I know I shouldn't do that. It's just one of my vices. Everybody has a vice. Everybody has problems, and I'm happy to say that's one of my vices. It's not a big deal, but it can be changed. It definitely will be changed. Ever since I've started following the Top G, Andrew Tate, the men in his group, they said stuff like, so for men, I think the biggest part of why society is the way they are today is because they're always chasing sex, and if they can't get it, they're masturbating a lot, and that's a big issue with men. And so what they said was to record yourself doing it and watch it. That's going to disgust yourself. Like, wow, look at me doing this disgusting act. You know what I mean? So then, and it will fix you, because it does work. Like, it will fix you. Like, it'll get your head on right. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is not what I want my body to get used to. I don't want to get used to that. I want to get used to real women. And if I need to get a real woman, I need to work on myself, build value, be the man that I need to be to get a woman. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about that. I see something I like. The same thing happens when you're with your boys and you see a woman in life. You guys are all going to look, check it out. It's same concept. The like is just a visual of everyone seeing what you like. Hey, this guy likes girls. Whoop-de-doo. That's all it is to it. But it's something that I myself can work on. I can definitely say I do that. I did do that. I do want to change that. Cool. Next.
The body count. Do you think a woman's body count matters? Like, if it's high or low? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Hold on.
I was so ready. I had it ready.
I don't think so. I mean,
God, bro.
I've
I
had
need another cigar. Another cigar.
We're going to need some help over here.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not saying it's okay to go fuck everybody, right? Like, no, I'm not saying that, because it's a energy exchange, and you want to take care of your energy, your spirit, right? But I'm saying what are you gonna do? Like, okay, how many people have you had sex with? Like, okay, and then you tell me, and then what? Like,
well, it's not about. Say, go ahead.
When you say that, do you say that for men, or do you say that for women, or do you say that for both?
For both, honestly, because I know that it's okay man will be man, they'll fuck anybody or whatever, or they'll fuck a lot.
Follow up.
Yes.
With your statement that you just said,
Yeah.
you don't think it's there? You said it for both genders.
Yes.
Do you personally, would you date a man that didn't know what he was doing in bed? Do you want him to know what he's doing?
Yes, yeah.
That takes experience.
Okay, yes. Well, that's different. That's a different topic, though. Experience versus how many people you have sex with.
Well, it's different
right?
Okay, let me put it this way. Do you think men and women are the same?
The same how? Like,
Do you think we're the same?
No, they're two different.
So, when a man has a high body count,
Yeah.
and a woman has a high body count, it's different. And now it goes back to the topic that we were talking about earlier, because she said that it's easier for men to get women than it is for women to get men. No. So when a guy has a high body count, that means he has something to him that's different, right? He's at that different level than these average guys. He's able to sleep with these chicks, right? Now, a chick, no, that's facts. And a chick that just has a high body count, she's just spreading her legs to anybody that's just giving her the time of day. That's it. A guy has to put in work to be like that. In order for him to have girls wanting him and him to have a high body count, He has to have some to him.
But he doesn't necessarily have to have a high body count. You can be with somebody for a long time and learn a lot of different things with the same person and not have a high ass body count. You don't have to.
And I feel
We
like
got
I know
Riley in
men
the
who have
background
high
right
body
now.
counts that are trash.
Riley's not feeling it. You got something to say?
Ecliptic said the same thing she just said on a different video, and now he's going crazy in the background.
You can learn so much in a relationship.
No, and you mentioned that
Like-
yeah, okay. So yeah, I agree. You can learn all that stuff with one chick. But how many guys? Like, there's not too many people that are in long-term relationships that are doing that. But my point being that's besides the point here. That's besides the point here. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying you should have a high body count. I'm not saying if you're a guy and you're able to fucking, get all these chicks, you should go sleep with them. I'm not saying go ahead and do that. I'm saying it's different if a guy has if there is that guy that has 15 or 30 bodies and there's a chick that has 30 bodies, he had to actually do something to get himself to this level in life. You feel me? To be able to sleep with all
But
these
it
chicks.
doesn't necessarily mean he's good in bed. Like, it just. Like,
He also could just
it
be
doesn't mean he's
portraying
experienced. Putting up
other
a front.
life.
Right.
Because I feel like that's what a lot of them do
Like,
too.
I'll take you out and I'll treat you nice. And, like, a
Well,
lot
okay,
of girls
hold
will
on,
fall
hold
for
on.
that. Like you said, like, girls' standards have lowered a lot nowadays. So it's like, girls will fall for that kind of stuff. And guys can just sleep around nowadays, too. And it's like you should have a little bit more self-respect.
Talking to my guys.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, so
Well, fuck.
Hold on. If you have that girlfriend, right, and you sleep with her every day, 7 days out of the week, right, and then you go and sleep with 7 different chicks 7 days out of the week, it's experience. Experience is experience, right? I'm not saying you have to go with a bunch of different chicks, but just because you go with a bunch of different chicks, that doesn't mean you're not getting the experiences. That does, for me,
I'm not saying
the way
that
I'm
either,
looking at it,
but I'm not
if-
saying it's necessary, and it should matter both ways.
well, he got brought on. He looked like he was itchy.
Okay, so no, you two are both right.
Yeah.
You're both right. That's what you guys aren't seeing right here. She's right, you're right.
I agree.
If a guy has a lot of bodies, he's gonna have more experience in general. You're speaking an
Right.
exception.
Like, in a way, yes.
But you're also right because, yes, you can learn a lot in one relationship coming from experience. I don't have a high-ass body count, but I guarantee you I know a lot more than most guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But if there is a guy that has 50 bodies, there's a solid chance that he knows just as much as a guy that was in a relationship for
And
3
I'm not
years.
saying
you know
he
what I mean?
doesn't. I'm just saying
Okay,
that's not
no.
necessary.
So now I was
you
just
know?
clearing up.
Yeah, I'm
But
saying
you guys
should
are on
have
the
a
same
little more
page.
self-respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
fuck what he said. I think that's
Yeah,
like saying
yeah,
that's the exception is right. If you're sleeping with, if you have slept with multiple partners, you're getting a majority of likes over time. If you slept with one partner, you have one exception to all these other experiences you could have had. Does that make sense? Neither one is wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Right.
I just think we're both right.
Right.
What he said.
Yes, you guys are both right.
Yeah, exactly.
But in order to get into that experienced relationship, they have to be willing to do stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can't
Right.
just do the same thing over and over and over and call yourself experienced. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. It really does.
And then,
But I don't want the girl I'm dating to be experienced.
Yes, 100%.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
no.
So there's a difference, right? When a man has a high body count, he has to be high value, right? He has to have something going for him. Now, am I saying it's right for a man or a woman to have a high body count? No, but the damage is dealt more to the woman than it is the man. You know, I feel like it does take effect on the guy. It does. Because it's harder for you to settle down with one chick. You're always looking around for more. You know, you have all this shit running through your head when you've had so many women. But for a woman, it's like it's the emotional connection for them. It's harder for them to have that emotional connection to one guy when they have had a bunch of experience with a bunch of different dudes.
We're also dodging an analogy here. If this is why body count matters more and also how many they're talking to currently. If a girl sleeps with 50 dudes, who are the parents? Do we
Yeah.
know? No. But if a guy sleeps with 50 females, who are the parents? It's
yeah.
obvious.
And don't let the modern. I don't even want to hear what about just the modern day science shit that you can figure that out. Because back in the day you couldn't, right? And women that would, like had kids that had no fathers or didn't know who the father were, they were shunned upon.
No, modern days that not even a factor either. That's why Mari got so famous. That's why there's shows like that. You know what I mean? There's that's why that's even around right now. So a lot of women that have babies still don't know who the daddy is. You know, and they have to learn. And the stepdads learn the hard way sometimes. If their kids are they need surgery done or they need a blood transfusion, or whatever. Imagine finding out at a hospital that your kid's not your own, you know, and you want to save their
when they're
life.
like 6, you've been taking care of them, you put money into them, all this and that. You've been raising someone else's kid.
Dang,
That's deep shit.
got him. We got him.
So you guys are talking about having like sex with a lot, like multiple people
different
in one time.
Yeah, not like a fucking orgy.
The aspect is,
Multiple sex partners, like in
your lifetime, in a lifetime.
Yeah, in your experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that relate to like not knowing who your dad is, not knowing who the father is?
it's just the aspect that body count is different. Like having sex, a girl having sex with a man or multiple men is just different. So let's say it wasn't at the exact same time. Let's say you were talking to a guy 2 months ago and you had sex with him. It takes 9 months for you to get, you know what I mean? So you don't even have to be talking to him at the same time. You can sleep with a dude this month and then say, man, fuck this dude, and then go next month, go sleep with this dude, and then have a kid with a 1 month difference. You're not going to really be able to tell.
And women do that because it's easier for you to date men. You don't have to do anything to date men. A guy's gonna contact you. Hey, let's go on a date. Pick you up. Take you on a date. Take you back home. You don't have to spend any kind of money. That's why men don't date as much as women do. They want to cut. They want to take shortcuts. Hey, just come over, Netflix and chill. We don't even have to do all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you guys got to look out for. And that's what most women do look out for. You know, you're gonna waste my time, obviously. You know what I mean? So guys, step up their game. They'll adjust to it as well.
Not saying that you guys do that. We're just in general speaking. You know, it's just generally speaking. That's how it is.
Yeah, body count matters for both ends, right?
Yeah, we agree with that. Guys shouldn't have crazy body counts.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, at least for me.
But if he
For
did,
me mostly,
it don't matter neither.
it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
As much,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. It
As
doesn't
much.
I
matter
agree.
as much,
Yeah, if
but
you have an
I mean,
insane amount, if you're up in hundos, then you have a fucking
Yeah,
issue.
Right.
you have an
Yeah,
issue.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Women care
Like,
about a
there's
man's
at some
future.
point you
Women
have to
care
say,
about a man's
I need
future.
some self-respect.
Men
at
care about
some
a woman's
point.
past.
Right.
Simple as that. If you were getting married today, if you were getting married tomorrow, a woman saw her fiance laying down the pipe on a video, she's still going to marry him the next day. It's not going to bother her. Happened a long time ago, whatever the case. She put it on the rug. That's it. If a man saw his girl getting piped and it was by multiple men or whatever the case, that's going to bother him. That's going to be on his mind. Then he's going to have cold feet. He wouldn't go through with that marriage.
I feel like I wouldn't go through with a marriage if it were vice versa either.
Yeah, but you have a lot of masculine traits, so that doesn't apply.
I don't think you have a lot of masculine traits.
I just think I have a little more self-respect.
You have
but,
a beautiful face, and you're just
higher
doing what you have to do to
expectations.
take care of yourself.
Yeah.
As
It's admirable. It's not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
But I feel like like what you said.
For the most
like,
part, anyway.
If I'm gonna say, if my chick saw me like with 5 girls and it's just me in a video and I'm banging all 5 of them, and then I see a video and it's just her and 5 dudes, that's completely fucking different.
I just wouldn't want to see a video, period.
Like that's a bit extreme.
Period.
5 girls, sounds exhausting. No, but the reason why I say when the masculine traits for a woman, it's acceptable to an extent because you wouldn't want me to wear heels and paint my nails on the weekends, be conditionally masculine, you know what I mean? You're masculine because you have to be. That's fine. That's why it's okay because you had to be, not because you want to be, you were catered to and you're like, you know what, I decided to be this way just because I hate men or whatever the case, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I have a lot of respect for men, and like you said, my relationship views are a lot similar to, a lot of your guys's, but it's just like, I think that it's harder to get into relationships nowadays just because, guys are looking for this certain something, but then you're, you have to uphold a certain standard for yourself in order to get through your day to day because you don't have everything, you know. So it's like when guys see that and then they're like off put by it, it's like, okay, I mean, I'll just wait for like the right person who appreciates that in a way, because like you said, people our age aren't going to be at this super high standard. They're not going to be up on that 1%. So it's like if you're looking for a relationship and you're looking for somebody to build with, like I think that sometimes more masculine traits are in a way better to have, because then it's like your woman has your back in a way if she's willing to go to work too. She's willing to put down, she's willing to throw down for, you know, your guys' relationship and your guys' household too, until you can get where you need to be. And then it's like, and then you can fall into that more submissive role of like being a stay-at-home mother and like.
I see, and I agree with you, because for me, I think duty lasts longer than love. So if you have a duty to your partner because you guys have kids together, I think that's going to outlast love any day. Why? Because love is an emotion. It can fade. And once that fades, that's why 80% of marriages are ending right now, because women are unhappy. Nowhere in your vows, when you're saying for better, for worse, for richer or poor, does it say happy, mad, or sad? Anywhere in there. It doesn't matter if you're happy or not. You have a duty to your partner to uphold what you promised them. You know what I mean? And that's why there's not a lot of people getting married anymore, because they want to be happy. Oh, I'm not happy, so on to the next. You know what I mean?
And that goes back to the conditional, unconditional love, because what you're basically saying is that sense of duty to your partner is basically ensuring that's what will draw that person to meet those conditions and continue to meet those conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So let me rephrase. So let's ask the question again. Do you think body counts matter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You
that
still you don't.
I mean, I'm not saying it's okay to go fuck around with a lot of people, right? Because, like I said, the energy, the spiritual. But, yeah, like what, like, I guess it's like, okay, if you ask someone, like, yeah, what's your body count? And, like, then what? Like, what's the next conversation? Or, like, what does it have to do with anything? Because, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like if someone has had over 100 body count, or the body count over 100, I think you can kind of tell, no? Like they're probably a little out there. They probably look like a porn star or a OnlyFans, like, you know. So yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's okay to be fucking around all the time and just with anybody, but I think it's just, I don't know, like I wouldn't ask that question.
Well, we've talked about this before, I believe, but you don't ask. Like I wouldn't ask, and I don't think dude should really ask, and I wouldn't even really trust an answer I received. It's such a important thing that I think people are liable to lie, both men and women. You know, like what is the saying where if you hear a woman's body count, you triple it, and if you hear a dude's body count, you have to divide it by 3.
J. Cole, man, shout out J. Cole. He said that.
Gotta multiply by 3.
Yeah, you gotta multiply by 3, man. So, and then for a guy, you gotta subtract like 5 or something like that.
Divide it.
Yeah.
Divide,
But like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't feel like if you're a guy out there and you're asking, you know, your shorty or a girl you're talking to her body count, like, don't do that. It's to me, it's like you're almost coming off scared, almost like I don't like using the word insecure, but like a little bit.
Well, it makes it come off that way.
Exactly.
That's how she'll read it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And what's the point behind that? Like, what is it that you really want to know? If you're experienced, or are you hoeing around? Like, what?
Like for me, yeah. Like if I'm talking to a girl, like I'm never gonna ask that question, right? I can tell whether a girl is promiscuous through her social media by talking to her.
Actions.
Yeah, I'm looking at different things.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I did have the thought that she had a high body count, right? Like, I'm just going to cut communication, really. I'm not going to dig into it. I'm not going to try to convince her. I'm not going to sit here and have a whole debate or argument about it, right? And, like I said, when a woman has a high body count, it's harder for her to have that emotional connection. Like, in a woman's life, there's usually 1 or 2 dudes that she's going to come across that's going to leave a very big imprint in her life. And then it's going to be harder for the next side to come around and fulfill that hole for her and fulfill those needs. So the higher it is, the harder it is for a man to fulfill a woman's needs. Now, for a guy, it's like it can work in the same way, but I feel as if it takes more. You feel me? It takes more for a guy to be like very like emotionally uninvested, like in his woman due to high body count. As if for a woman, I feel like it does take more of a toll on them than a man. That's just it. Now, I'm not like I said, I'm not saying it makes it right or wrong for either or, but there is a slight difference in it. And like, and it comes down to, it's not like, oh, she's had all these bodies, she has all this experience. Like, nah, it's like it's deeper than that for me. You feel me? So that's why I pay attention to the little ass shit like that. But I want to hear your take on it. So do you think that body counts matters?
First of all, when did this term start being used? I feel like I'm an old guy here, but like, dude, everywhere I go, everyone's talking about body count. What the fuck? I never heard that when I was growing up.
I will say, when I first started hearing about body count, it was like, motherfuckers
why?
that killed, you know what I'm saying?
When?
Like, how many
know?
bodies you got? Like, so it wasn't like on some female shit. It was on some like gang banging. Like, I'm not saying I never.
Yeah.
That's just what I've heard.
That's what you saw in music videos.
Guys.
So I guess no one knows the answer, but it just came around all of a sudden. But
Yeah. I would say it was probably the Red Pill community on YouTube.
probably,
It probably was.
I do think it matters. So there's your answer.
You said you think it does take effect?
Yes.
On both on both ends for a man and a woman? And if so, is it the same or no?
I don't think it's the same, but I do think it takes a toll.
Yeah. All right. In what ways?
My experience in being a man for 28 years is that we get emotionally attached too. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like all those feelings are gone. So it's not so easy to do that with somebody and then move on and like, oh, cool, we're all good. I think you're trained to do that, and there's a good thing about being able to control your emotions and not give into it. But there's this sense that men don't feel like that. And it's like, dude, that's such bullshit from my experience, is we do feel like that. And I think it trains you to be, if you're just doing that a lot, I don't know, maybe shelled up, or you just become a dick, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like you just they hide their emotions away.
Yeah.
You know? Even if they do end up liking the chick a little bit, they're never gonna.
They purposely hide it.
Yeah.
And I think there is a point to that. Like, you can't go out of control. That's part of being a man. You have to be able to control things. I do think it takes a toll, but I don't think it devalues us necessarily. But I think that does happen too.
That's another thing, right? That's a very good point.
I'm just not attracted to that, so I don't mean any offense for people that have done that, especially in the culture these days, where it's like you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But I just factually, from my experience again, and my interests, and from most people I know, it devalues you.
Yeah. So
that's just the reality.
Yeah, and like in the eyes of society, right? I'm not saying for me or anybody here. I'm just speaking like in general. Most dudes, especially the higher up ones, I can tell you from speaking with them, like they're not gonna. A girl that has a high body count, yeah, they're like, no, that's like picking up trash from the floor. Why would I do that? You know? Why? There's no need, because like once you hit a certain level in life, right, you can find these girls that look just as pretty and are, you know, just as cool or whatever, that don't have that high ass body count. You feel me?
It goes back to what we were saying earlier. AR brought it up that men want a woman who no other man can get, and the men that have gotten you in the past goes into that. So if he finds out, like if he starts dating a chick, it doesn't really matter how much he likes her. In a lot of cases, if he finds out that she has this like super long Walgreens receipt past, then that's gonna turn him off in a big way.
That means that you've been with a lot of guys, so your standards aren't so high. So if he's with you, he wants a genuine relationship with you. That means every average Joe is his competition. The guy at Starbucks, hey, I saw you looking at him. You know what I mean? That's my competition because you've slept with so many guys. Anyone can get, all they need is to talk to you the right way, and that's it. You know what I mean? So now anyone is a suspect.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like I said, like the whole value things, like if a man has a high body count, like in most scenarios, in most cases, people are not gonna look at him and be like, oh, you're disgusting, blah 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 blah. Even though they might say that, like I've heard, trust me, I've seen girls talk about, I have certain friends that have crazy body counts, and they'll say that shit. They'll be like, oh, no, I'll never fuck with him because of this and that. And then the next night, they're like, yo, guess who I was just with? You feel me? It has happened. I can tell you
Yeah.
right now. I'm not gonna drop names. I don't want to expose the women. Like the dude, you know. Shout out to you, bro. But Coop, yeah, Cooper, you dog. But yeah, like it happens. You feel me? But for a chick, when she has a high body count, like even like I've like another from experience, like I've had people around me that have slept with a girl that is known for, you know, sleeping around being a hoe, and all they do is get shit for it. You feel me? So it's just like it devalues the woman, because a woman's value, it doesn't come in as a man's value. A man is valued based off what he can provide and what he can do for you. A woman's value is based off her purity. You feel me? So that's where the difference lies for me.
So basically, the takeaway from this last question about the body count is for men not to ask that of women. You know, you're kind of just burning yourself. It's gonna bite you in the butt in the end. Just don't do that. If you have a vibe that she has a high body count, then that's your red flag. Pay attention to that. Don't ignore it. Pay attention to that and leave that situation. Same for, you know, women. If you think he's a player just because he's attractive, that's a double-edged sword as well. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, he's got plenty of women just because he's attractive. You know, when you can be the most handsome man in the world, you'll still be treated like the average guy. Where as opposed to a woman, you could be an average-looking woman, you'll still get attention for the majority of men. You know what I mean?
I've seen some. I mean, whenever we've gone out to, like, because we haven't gone out in a while, you know, focusing up. But when we were going out for, you know, like almost every weekend for a little bit there. Got caught up in the hype. But from my times out, man, like almost every single chick that was in that bar was like getting attention from somebody. You feel me? Didn't matter what she looked like, smelled like. She could have been sweaty. Like, she could have is fucking disgusting. Right? And dudes are, let me buy you a drink. Come here. Like, it happens all the time. Like, and then there's dudes that go to I've seen like guys at the bars or clubs that you look at this motherfucker's like, oh shit, you know? And then they're just standing there like this. No woman is approaching them. No woman is coming up to them on some, you know? It's rare for that to happen. So, yeah, just adding on to what he was saying. Like, a girl could go to the club or a bar and get attention from whoever, whenever. And a guy can't do that. You got to have certain things to you. Looks are not going to get you through that door. You know, maybe with those, like, low-level women, sure. But if you want an actual relationship with act like a woman, then, yeah, it's not gonna fly. And it's not going to work out. Like, you might be able to put up a fake persona. Yeah. I don't got to. Like, you can put up a fake persona for a little bit, but that's what they say, that 3-month honeymoon phase. That's that fake persona that you're putting up with. Yep. Eventually, it's going to fade away, and they're going to see the reality of things. So, we'll end it right there just because we're about to fucking run on time, so cut it right there.
Welcome back.
All right, so I have a statement that I want to get y'all's opinion on. Basically, I think that society of late has basically convinced people that attraction is symmetrical, and that what a woman finds attractive in a man, she thinks a man will find attractive in her, and vice versa.
Ooh. Yeah. Nah, I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
Okay, so I don't agree with it just because, like, looks, like, it's not like I mentioned earlier, a man's looks is not going to get him very far. You feel me? It takes a lot more for you to be that guy. Like, and then for a chick, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to look at a chick and like I said, I'm not going to, oh, she's got this career path and she, you know, she can fight and like, no, I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. Like, I can fight, don't worry about it. But yeah,
So, like, what you guys think is attractive is the looks, and then what we think attractive is like
the ambition, kind of more. I mean, obviously, looks have to do some with it, right? But it's not as a big factor for men as it is for women.
So, do you guys have a standard? So you just have to look cute, and that's it. Like,
absolutely not. It takes more than that. Yeah, if that was the case, you feel me?
It just depends, because you look at girls, women tend to idolize certain women, such as Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? How did she even become famous? We know how she became famous, you know what I mean? But that has nothing to do with how a man can become famous. You think a man can become famous like that? There's no way. That's the difference.
Okay, so I want to ask Walter, do you have an answer to the question, the statement I made?
About The symmetry?
Yeah.
So they said they don't agree, but I don't know. What was the statement? That they think there's a symmetry?
So basically what I'm trying to say here is I think that people have been fooled into thinking that attraction is symmetrical when it isn't.
That I agree with. I agree with your statement. I think that's not good. I mean, it's not correct.
And I say that for a few reasons. I say that in a male example is a man being emotional, right? You know, he might like a woman to be emotional to him, and so he thinks he should be emotional back. Right? Yes. Or a man needs to have a strong future, so a woman might think that if she has a strong future and a good career, that will help attract a man.
That's the one that resonates with me the most. It's when women are like, "Well, I want a man that has his own this, that, and the other because I'm independent. I do that myself." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Ladies?
So, where I come from, again, like I mentioned, my parents are very traditional. My dad was the one that worked. My mom stayed home and cooked, and she was very submissive. And I love my dad. Like, I love his ambition, his hard work, because of where we're at and compared to where he comes from. And I always grew up thinking, like, okay, if my mom was a little vocal about certain things, or if my mom like matched his hustle, like we would probably be like, you know, we would be like living in a different situation. And that's what I think. I think I have been, I guess, fooled into thinking that like I'll attract what I am. Yeah, like that's where I come from. Like I hope to find someone that's that's ambitious, that's is spiritual, that has goals, and has certain values, because that's who I am, and that's who I hope to attract. But I feel like where we're like the big line that divides that is that where we have the difference, where we think different, where you guys just kind of, it looks like you guys just, you know, just want to probably, I'm guessing once you guys get there to that 1%, you guys are going to look at a line of girls and be like, okay, she's cute, you know, I'll take care of you, yo te mantengo, and then that's it. We live happily ever after. But then again, like that's where I also come from. Like eventually we all grew up. All of my mom's kids grew up, and then now she's kind of just stuck like at home, and she has her friends, but like I don't know. I wish I could see her more.
I want to get into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mom is an accomplished woman.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at her more so accomplished than a woman that had her own business that was a multi-billion-dollar business. Your mom is more accomplished than that, because that's what her role is. If you said, had she pursued something and had more money and your dad worked too, and then you guys both had a better lifestyle, I don't think that would have provided a better lifestyle for you. You know, it made you a little bit more spoiled, but you know, the traits and traditions that you learned watching them love each other through all the years is more important than you having things in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And well, I think that the love, the companion, the support, like that should be the basic, right? Like if we're together, it's because we want to support each other. We want to love each other, right? Well, I mean, that's what I'm looking for in my next relationship.
That's why it's scary. You're looking at love as basic. Love is the most beautiful thing to me.
No. I mean, no, it's not basic, but it should be we shouldn't even ask each other. Like we're together because we have strong feelings for each other, because I care about you, you care about me. Like that shouldn't even be a question.
Feelings fade. Feelings fade though. That's why I told you earlier, duty lasts longer than love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It always will, no matter what. It always will.
It's like Top G said, like a woman can sometimes look at her man and be like, this motherfucker's annoying, I hate him sometimes. But as long as she has respect for him, it's more than likely she's not going to leave him. See what I'm saying? So it's like you got to have that respect for your man, because like you said, emotions will fade. They're going to come and go. There might be a day where we're great, and then the next week we might be having, some disagreements.
Yeah, a relationship is work. Right? It's work all the time, constant work. I love my mom. I know she's a strong woman. But now that she does Zumba now on the weekdays.
Wow.
But she feels like
she does what?
Zumba, like she works out. But that's because we also tell her, we're like, Mom, go work out, go do something. And from conversations that I've had with her, like I feel like she feels like you know, like now all my kids are grown. Like,
Do you plan on having kids?
I hope to have kids. Yeah.
Okay, and then hopefully your kids will have kids too, right?
Have kids.
Well,
Yes.
when she's older, she's gonna be in a room full of a generation that she made herself. That's her
Yeah.
accomplishment. That's what she made in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's more beautiful than just pursuing your dreams and doing what made you happy. You know what I mean? I think that's what's more important. Your duty to your family, it's gonna resonate with you once you see everyone grown, having their families. I made all this. I did all this. You know what I mean? Of course, she didn't do it alone, but you know what I mean. That's what she did for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope to feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
Have my kids, have my grandkids, but I also want to like be something else than just a stay-at-home mom.
Why is
Like,
that such a
But-
bad thing, though?
It's not a bad thing, but it's just like there's mom, right, and then there's Yesenia. Like, you know, there should be a little bit of like it shouldn't like so.
You want a
that's it.
different identity outside of motherhood. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it would be. Yeah,
So-
like it's.
Like, I would love to have $1 million and not have to work. It's just there are realities, and if you are doing your own thing, statistically, you are going to divorce your man, and you will not be able to be a good mother. And it's maybe a sad reality, but you just like there are things we can't have what we want on both ends all the time. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the struggle. You want to be a mother, but you want to have your own thing. It's
It's gonna be a
respectfully
challenge.
delusional.
A challenge.
that's-
It's not delusional because I actually like I follow women that I want to be like, and one of them, she has 3 kids. She has a good husband too. She's successful, and I mean I think that's just a power couple. Like I love that idea, and I'm sure it's hard. She doesn't really. She's pretty private. She doesn't share a lot of her relationship, but some of the things she does share is like, yeah, like this is challenging.
I
It
think that's a
takes
red flag.
work.
There's a reason
But
why
you-
she doesn't share a relationship.
and
A
you
woman
don't
that's
know
proud
her,
of
right?
her man is gonna show that. You know what I mean? And if she's leading it, there's gonna be problems. I think women will lead it right into the ground if she's leading the relationship. That's just what it is. Because women, when he stated earlier, if a woman shows me this, I'm just gonna leave her. You guys all laughed. Why that still resonates with me right now, because women leave for far less. Oh, I don't like the way he's chewing his food. I'm out of here. I don't like the way he talked to his mom. I'm out of here. I don't like the way he did anything. He dressed funny. He didn't cut his nails. His nails is dirty. Anything. I'm out. Women leave for far less than that. Does that make sense?
Yes, but no, she does share her husband. She shares her family, but I mean, she doesn't air out like, oh, we fought today and this is
Oh, of
what's
course.
going on.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she's private, but she'll talk about like she has her family. Like she shows, like
That's
that's, why
social
I
media.
admire her so much. Yeah, she has, and I'm sure she has problems. You know, anybody has problems, even if like everybody will have problems. But that is definitely a huge topic, like being a mom and having a career or just having one of those.
I think what's just so off-putting about the way that you say it is you say that like it's unattractive for a girl to have like a career path, and then when you get into a relationship with her, it's like being realistic nowadays. It's like you can't have that kind of mindset, because it's like a girl like that is actually kind of admirable for being able to do things by herself. And it's like it's not that she wants to be in that masculine role, it's just that she needs somebody who is able to be there enough for her to fall into her feminine role.
And I said that earlier.
So I think it's just off-putting when you say it's unattractive for a girl to have a career path or like anything like that when you're trying to
Well,
get
it's not
into
that
a-
it's unattractive. It's like what we said. It's like once I'm involved in a situation and I can provide all these things, then that's where the priorities are gonna have to change, right?
And that's
So I honestly think that moms can have a career. It just cannot be the priority.
Right.
The
No, yeah,
kids
for
are the
sure,
priority.
for
You
sure.
feel me?
Yes,
The
yes,
family
yeah.
comes first.
But that's not the case. It sounds nice, but women that have their own going on, they're not going to stop. Oh, you got to be King Tut to stop me from doing what I'm doing, pursuing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so and then another question that I had when you had said something about like, oh yeah, when men are gonna pursue a real woman, like yeah, that's where I'm just having like trouble I'm trying to understand where
like, how do you know
yeah,
what a
and
real woman
because
is to
it sounds
you?
like she's just has to be pretty, like she just has to be pretty. But all along, like I don't know, like I feel like I've been growing up and seeing a lot more. Yeah, some people push it a little bit too much, where they're like, oh yeah, women don't need a man. But I feel like we have been growing up more in a world where they're saying like, okay, woman, like, you know, you really just can't be depending on a man. Like, you should kind of know how to walk on your feet. And then I feel like that's why many women take the bullshit from the man, because they kind of do have to depend on them. If they cheat on you, oh well, pretend you don't see, because he's taking care of you and your kids. Because if he's not, what are you going to do? You're just going to be probably working all day, and you're not going to be able to take care of your kids. Like, you know, like sometimes the man just disappears, and then what, you know? So it's kind of like we have to, I feel like I have been seeing a lot, and I think it's important to train girls to, or let them know that, hey, you know, you kind of have to grow up and kind of have your own, your brain, your own 2 feet. Like, you need to know how to navigate. Yes, definitely have a family, have a man with you, but, you know, like, don't let it just be that, you know, because then they're just going to toss you and turn you.
It just has to be a man that's worth compromising for. I mean, you know, it's like, that's all it really boils down to. It's like, I can't give up all of this stuff that I'm able to do for myself and, you know, take 5 years off of work, you know, take a decade or however long you know, you're together and you are at home taking care of your kids. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of that kind of, you know, I have to be able to trust you enough. You have to be able to respect me enough as a woman to not step out, or like, you have to have enough control as a man, and you have to be like that 1%, you know? So it's like, it's hard because you have to be good enough for me to not give everything up. But it's like, if you're willing to work together and have these kind of discussions, and, you know, it's just a matter of being realistic nowadays in our time, you know? I get it.
And realistically, it's like just very rare that it's rare to make it to the 1% club. It's rare for a woman to find someone at the 1% club. So yeah, you do have to. In most situations, yes, it's a 2-income household family. If that's the case, I feel like yes, a man, that woman still needs to hold her level of respect to that man, but that man also has to do the same thing. You feel me? It's like,
because she's giving up so much for you that it's like, you know, you have to. But I understand what a man gives up in a marriage too, like the amount of money, the how, like the kids, the child support.
Yeah, he's like, he's the head, you know?
Yeah, and so it's like, you guys have to have this mutual respect for each other, because you both do give up so much.
But she was saying that, like, she brought up like, what, because she thinks that all the girls that I would pick will only need to be pretty. It's like, no, you got to bring something to the table for me, you know? Like, if you're going to be arguing with me over dumb shit, I'm not going to be there. Like, I don't care how pretty you are. You feel me? If you're going to be, like, going out with your homegirls to the club, to the bars, I'm not going to be fucking with that. If you're over here posting pictures of yourself day in and day out, I'm not going to be with that. If you're one of those chicks that doesn't believe they should be cooking or cleaning for your man, I'm not going to be with any of that. So you have to bring something to the table. And also where, like, her values stand in the future. You feel me? Like, does she want kids? Does she want to be married? Like, that all plays a role. So yeah, looks don't necessarily, like, obviously looks matter, but that's what's going to attract me to the woman. But if I have a conversation with her and I find out all these things that I want she can't provide, then I'm not going to waste my time. You know, that'll be like a fuck buddy, if anything, if that.
All right, so I have a different perspective we can kind of take for what you guys are saying on this whole career being attractive or unattractive thing. And I just want to hear if you guys agree with what I'm about to get into. And that's basically just that I think it comes down to a mitigation of risk. We've talked before, at least I'm pretty sure we have, that, you know, men and women don't really operate on the same sort of time scale when it comes to like mating and having children. You'll see, like, what was it? Al Pacino and another old actor like that. They both just had their newest child. 79 or something like that, right?
79 years old.
Something crazy like that. But generally, we don't really see that type of thing with women, right? Like, generally, because we see it on TikTok, I guess, with women who, let's say that they were married until they were about 35, and then they leave their husband and they re-enter the dating market, and they find that it's really, the odds aren't really that good once you get up there in age. Generally, you know, men are looking for generally younger women. We talked earlier about her affording him a certain kind of status. Usually younger women bring that amongst men. And so the way I would look at it, you kind of have your entire life to build a career, but you have a much shorter window to build the foundation for your family and your legacy. I don't really think there's anything wrong with the woman having a family first and then going after her career afterwards, but I don't really hear anybody ever talk about that or bring that up as an option.
Yeah.
So I do have a problem with that, though, just based on the stats that if a woman is college educated and you look at divorce rates, she initiates the divorce like upwards of 90% of the time.
90%.
And that's scary. So I get the idea of trying to find a balance, but I don't think it's realistic or good. And I think the world we live in doesn't cater to that well, so I'm sorry, but I still don't think it's a good path.
Clarify what you mean, like for her to go after a career at all, or what exactly is it that you're saying?
To have something other than your family to give you meaning.
I mean, I do agree to a certain extent. Like I said, I don't mind it being like a side thing, you know, to keep you occupied and busy, have some, you know, some pennies in your account compared to what I'll be able to provide. It's true, but
money talks.
Yeah, but it's like 50, like when you're at your age of being a grandma, you feel me? No one is gonna give a fuck about what you did for a job.
Yep.
You feel me? Or your career. They're gonna want to know how many kids you got, grandkids, how big is your family that you created. So that's how I look at it. Like no one gives. You could have been the most famous woman in the fucking world and had all these records, billions of dollars. If you have all that and then you got that big house, all the fucking, was it Birkins that y'all like or whatever the fuck, like the Birkin bags, all that. You got all that, all the materialistic stuff, right? But then you got no kids, you got, you know, no grandkids, you got that. That's it. It's just you in that big empty house with your cats. So it's like, yeah.
Walter's schooling us on the statistics over here.
Well, I know. It's because I've heard of this stuff and I do research it, so it's not like I'm claiming that, oh, I just know so much. I mean, I've heard it.
Yeah.
And then I look it up.
I just say that to say,
it is crazy when you look into that. It's like,
I do have my own statistic to pull out here.
Show me.
I've heard.
I bet you mine's
statistically the least happy demographic of women is 30 plus, unmarried, but with a career. Statistically, that's the woman that's the least happy.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important to have someone to share this with, like, right? Because, or else you'll have everything and then what? You'll just be lonely. You know, I think it's important to have love and kids and being able to pass it on. But I don't know, like, I don't know why people, when they're, like, they're not married yet or have kids.
I think it's different for men. So we have to build value as men, and that takes time, a lot of time. So in our 20s, we should be working hard, and when you're in your 30s, you should be able to provide for a family. So it's the opposite. So once I get to that level, I'm past my 30s, I'm in my mid 30s, I have everything I want, so I could provide that for a family. That's when I'll look for a suitor. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that being said, since I'm able to provide for someone, I'm going to look for long-term relationships, and it's the opposite for women. Women are in their prime when they're younger because you're young, you look good, you're capable of carrying babies at a younger age. Once you hit 30, it drastically changes. Almost 50% can't carry. You know what I mean? And I know that from experience. You know, so it's sad. It's a sad thing, but that's reality. You gotta get it while you can. So women should look for their suitor while they're young, while they're in their prime. Men are in their prime when they're older. Once they have everything materialistically wise, they're gonna get the one thing they can't get, which is a family. They want to plant their seed. They want to start their next generation.
Boom. I feel like the whole route. Oh shit! I don't want to scoot up. And I feel like I want to what? How do you guys think men and women should be spending their 20s? Because this kind of it will tie in.
Yeah, working their asses
off. For both of them?
I mean, it depends on what kind of situation you're in, you know? I mean,
I agree with that.
yeah. I mean, because like he said, women are on a biological clock, so it's like, I mean, yeah, there's the women that go to school and like are trying to get their careers set up and go to college, and then there's like the people that are actually looking to build relationships with other people, and it's like, just being realistic, it's kind of like you go straight into working, you know? I mean, you don't really necessarily go to school because everybody's there to kind of fuck around in college, you know? Everybody isn't really serious about anything. Nobody really knows where they're going. Nobody really knows what they want. And they're spending a bunch of money. They're getting in a bunch of debt. Like, there's just so much involved with all of that it's like, to be realistic for a woman, you have to try super hard to find your partner to, like, and then it's like, you know, you're not necessarily looking at people who are, like, in their 30s either. So that's also what kind of makes your pool just shrink down as a woman. And so I think it's a little bit harder to find somebody necessarily that you want to, like, give everything up for. So I think you do kind of have to find your own way and kind of provide for yourself for a while. But I do think that, like, work is very important. And if you find somebody your age, like, they have to be open to being willing to build with you. And, like, you know, kids aren't a question right off the bat because neither of you are in a place to have kids. Like, and, you know, if he wants you to dwindle down your job and that's all cool, and, like, you guys work on getting a house together and you take on more responsibility and less hours at work, it's like, you know, it's just a matter of what your goals are, what their mindset is, where you guys are at in your lives. I don't know what you want.
Sorry, really quick. Did you say that women are not looking towards, like, older men neither?
I mean, I don't know. It depends. To each their own, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, for me personally, I'm not looking at a 35-year-old guy at 23 years old. You know, I'm looking for, I don't know, just a genuine partner. But it's like, it's hard to find.
Yeah. All right, okay, so with your, like, there's, like I said, there's your exception, right? You're not looking for that. I feel like a lot of girls nowadays, like, I feel like girls are into older guys. That's just...
It's a thing now, yeah, for sure. It's a thing.
I think that's always been a thing. When I was in high school, women were dating guys that had cars and, you know, that had more to offer. You know, regardless of age, they
Drive
just
them
want.
around,
Yeah,
take
exactly.
them to eat, pick them up for a date, you know.
I think that's always been a factor in.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a factor. Like, even now, it's like, from personal experience, like, there's a lot of the female friends. I don't want to say they're friends, but people I know of, they're all dating, like, older dudes closer. They're my, like, you know, around my age, but like, boyfriends are like 28, 30, 31, 32. They all got their, and it's because these dudes have their life together. They have, they live on their own. They got a car. They got a career.
They're done with school.
Exactly. They have everything.
Right.
So it's like, I feel like, I just think that was just the only thing that I wanted to say. It was like, I feel like nowadays, or just throughout time, I feel like it's always been women.
So I think it just is like, that's also just a personal preference thing, you know? Because, like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody's condition, like, oh, they have to be a certain age, you know? It's like, it's just, I prefer somebody closer to my age, so therefore it is harder to find somebody who's more, I don't know, established as a person, you know? So it's like, that kind of person has to be willing to accept me for who I am and what I can bring to the table in other ways right now, versus in 10 years down the road when you're making what you want to make and then I'm a stay-at-home mom and then we have different roles, you know? Yeah. It's a matter of being young right now.
Well, I think the 20s should be spent in a good balance, working hard, but of course you have to, like, enjoy yourself, have fun, working towards your future, and just, I think it would be like to develop your emotional intelligence and that mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be spent, I mean, trying to figure out who you are and what you want, you know, like, it's the time to, I mean, like we said, 30, 35 is, like, when guys are finally, like, maturing and they're finally establishing things, and, like, same thing, women, like, during that time, we have to figure out what we want and who we want and just kind of, like, the life we want to live, and also just, like, to put ourselves in position too, like, okay, what kind of woman am I trying to be? What kind of life do I want to give my family? Or, like, what kind of mom do I want to be? What kind of spouse do I want to be? So just like trying to establish different habits and patterns. And I mean, I think that's how it should be spent, because then you start to get older and it's like, okay, these are the things that are going to be carried with me in my relationships, in, you know, kind of throughout life. So it's just like about, okay, I just need to start establishing these things now. Yeah. And I think, like, I mean, it takes time. So you have to go through that time period where you're doing it and figuring it out, so that you are like, okay, now I am the kind of woman who, like, I know that I can be there and I can, you know, be supportive and emotionally, like, I'm in a state where it's like, all right, let's go, you know?
Yeah, I think that's very well said right there. But yeah, I feel like, for the women, I feel like that's a big part of what their 20s should be looking like, is like setting themselves up to be a good, like, mom, a good wife, like that. Of course, like, I'm not saying, oh, if you're a chick and you have a job or a career, I can't fuck with you, or that's like, no, of course, like, you need to fucking feed yourself, live your life, especially if you're doing it on your own, of course. Now, for dudes, and the reason I asked this question is because, like, a while ago, I asked another group of women this same question, and they just said, you got to live your best life, and I was pissed when they said that, because what the fuck does that mean, you know?
Yeah.
But we had some complaints from some viewers.
Yeah, bro.
That episode was hard to get through.
Yeah, it was, dude. It was I'm not gonna get into that, but I feel like dudes, like, you gotta set up for the future as well. You know, you gotta find that career path. You gotta build that mentality. You gotta build that discipline, and you gotta be able to provide for your family. That's what I feel like a dude's setting up for in the future. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what the early 20s should be being invested into, instead of just going out and partying and doing all. Like, yeah, it's cool, it's fun here and there. But when you're just like, I see so many people on my fucking Snapchat every weekend.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. You're just going out to the same bar, the same club, seeing the same fucking people, having the same results at the end of the night.
Exactly.
You're still going home empty-handed with no bitches and less money. That's it.
It doesn't bring you anything, you know? It's like, how is this actually beneficial? You get to a point, well, hopefully, because some people do not learn. They do it for several years, exactly. But it's like, you get to a point where it's like, hey, I need to be doing something that's actually serving a purpose now. Like, you got to do better.
All right, we'll hold right there.
I also think you should be getting your heart broken and breaking some hearts. What I mean by that is, like, what I mean by that is getting your heart. What I mean by that is
Nope. It is fucking haram. Breaking hearts. Are you trying to create more Andrew Tates?
No. So what I mean by that is, like, getting your heart broken, because there are some people that stay in relationships because it's painful to get out, you know, or they'll take the bullshit because it's painful to get out. Like, I think you need to have your heart broken, like, get out of that, you know, and build yourself up, like, after you know, like, there's some people that fall, so, you know, like, they're just very, like, I'm gonna kill myself, you know, I don't know what to do now, and so you have to be that broken to then, like, build yourself up. And I'm saying you need to break hearts because sometimes, like, you'll be with someone and you don't even want to be with them just because, you know, like, but you're still there because they're, you know, you don't know how to break up with them, or they're really nice, and
I don't agree with you at all whatsoever, because you're teaching an entire generation to, if you're not happy, if things are bad, leave. And that's how most people are immediately. As soon as they see, oh, you know what, I'm out, I'm already done. They don't want to fix something that's broken. And if you're married, if you have kids, that's definitely things you want to work on, not just run away from.
Oh, yeah. If you're married and have kids and you have, like, a serious relationship, yes. But if you're starting to get to know someone, or if someone's, you know, is trying to get with you, but you know, you don't want to, but you're just kind of scared to say no because they're really nice.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like, I feel like that's when you kind of have to be like, no, like, no.
That's a different scenario. Yeah, it's a different scenario.
If you have kids and if you're married, then you kind of have to work it out, you know, like, we're a team. Like, it's not that easy.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
I could agree with. Okay, yeah, you gotta clarify a little bit, man.
That's what I mean, like, yeah, but yeah, no, and not in a very, like in a mean way either, right? Like, I don't think you should be mean, but, you know, kind of like letting them know, you know, but still being kind of like direct and being like, you know, speaking your truth, like, I'm sorry, like, it's not gonna work out, or no, I don't want this, but, you know, like, learning how to say no, I guess. Yeah,
I will agree with that. I will say that that's something that does need to be worked on, because I feel like nowadays, or maybe it has been going on for a while, my time on this earth has been limited. I'm only 22 years in, but like from what I've seen is like girls who leave the relationship and detach emotionally and all that way before they even break up with dude. You feel me? So if you like, I feel like the second you get those feelings, like fucking be honest, say it right away. You feel me? Like it sucks to suck. Like if that dude, like at the end of the day, like I literally saw this video like right before I got here. The Top G was talking about it. Andrew Tate. If you guys don't know who Top G is, but he was mentioning that regardless of like the situation you're in, most of the like 99.9% of the time when a woman leaves a man, it is the man's fault at the end of the day. Like maybe like the way she went about it wasn't the right way, you feel me? She should have just ended it and dipped, but like the results usually come in because of the guy's actions. Yeah. So you guys focus on that, man. Focus on yourself, bro. That's what it comes down to is you, man. If you're getting cheated on, if your girl's not respecting you, she's arguing with you, you gotta work on something.
So for a lot of the problems that we're talking about in today's society, I, as a father, can say this. I'm 31 years old. I have 3 kids. I think it's the fathers. I blame it all on the fathers, okay? So if your father left you when you were born, you had to struggle, be independent, grow up that way. That's on your dad, If your dad is in your life, raised you, spoiled the heck out of you, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, because then he's setting that standard for you when you're dating. Hey, you got to be able to provide for her, and if you want to, and the end goal is for my daughter to marry someone, I'm gonna give her away. That's how it used to be. That's traditional, and that's what lasts. Okay, and that I put it on the dad. The dad has to put structure in the daughter's life. This is how you need to conduct yourself to get the best possible suitor for you. Okay. As far as to answer your questions, as far as their younger years, what you should be doing in your 20s, any long-term relationship that I know for marriage, like my grandparents, they married at a young age. They made the decision, hey, I want a family. This is what I'm going to do to get that family, okay? I'm not looking to pursue my own career, my own dreams, none of that. It was a selfless relationship, selfless decision, and they did that together. And they married young. A lot of the old school love, they married young. Yeah, they didn't wait, There's a reason why women mature faster than men. Men have to wait till they're maybe in their late 20s, but it's okay for them because men are building the value anyways. You know what I mean? They're going to college. They have to make more money. If they didn't make it to college, they have to figure it out, get their CDL, you know what I mean? So, but women, it's the opposite. You mature faster. You know what you want. I know women that refuse to, I don't want to just be a mom. I want to do all this stuff. When they ended up just being a mom, and they were happiest that way. They just they didn't like the label because society shamed it. Oh, you're just a mom. I don't want to be just a mom. I want to be something different. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
I think it's about young love or like getting married early.
The basis of what I said, I pretty much blame it on dads. The dads need to set the standard, set the boundary for women to when they get into the dating scene. Take care of your daughter. That way she knows what a man should look. Father is going to be the identity of what a man should be in a woman's life. Because I know plenty of women that go around saying, this is what a man should be. And it's like perfect. Like he has no faults. There's no way that's delusional. You're never going to find a guy like that. No one has a heart to tell her because they want to be that guy, to be the knight in shining armor. But that's what I see most in society. So what do you guys feel about what really is the problem? How do we fix it in today's society as far as relationships goes, as far as accountability for both men and women?
Well, I think a father does play a big factor in it. That goes back to like how a man should be able to lead the household, like just with their children. I do know, like, I've always seen my dad be a provider. My mom still worked, but, like, my dad always carried the weight of everything. But and he's always spoiled me. There's 4 of us girls, so, like, we've always gotten whatever. But he has told me, like, I want you to know, like, at the end of the day, like, you should be able to take care of you, too. So it's like, yes, I want you to be with a man who, like, is going to take care of you the way that I would. But at the same time, he's been, like, I want you to be able to handle your own and do your own thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's just coming from like on his end as like, he knows how there's so many men who aren't there yet. You know what I mean? Like mentally, they're not mature. They're not in a place or a position where it's like they could take care of a woman or they can treat them the way that we need to be treated. So it's like, yes, you want to be able to tell your kids like, yeah, you know, you want to be able to depend on a man and this and that, like how we're saying, but still at the end of the day, I feel like you have to be able to, you know, to be able to hold your own too, because like you said, when you put yourself in a position where it's like, I'm so dependent on somebody to take care of me, then it's like, okay, now what happens if they're not? But I think that also is just like in this day and age, like how, again, there's so many options or just like unrealistic kind of way of living where it's just like we as women don't know where men are at because like to us, and probably like you guys are like, now I'm hearing, you know, that men really, it's not as easy for them to just be able to be with a woman or this and that. But like in our heads, it's like, oh my gosh, there is social media. So like they can just do whatever they want. So I think it's like, it's probably not real either in our head, but it's like, that's what we're thinking. And that's what those are the cards that we're dealt with too.
I mean, for just on the last little comment, I feel like a lot of girls think that guys are getting that type of attention because they're getting that type of attention.
Oh.
You know? So they're seeing their social media. Every time they post a pic, they get all these likes. People swipe up, people comment. So then they think that when a guy posts a picture of themselves, it's going to happen. It's like, it's the exact opposite, bro. Every time, I tell you right now, it's the exact opposite. Like, and if you do find a guy that he's getting all these hundreds of likes and comments, there's some, you know, there's some that these females know about him that is different. But yeah, that's just...
That can even damage his chances of getting women. If he has more than a few hundred likes, like, oh, women will say, oh, I know he's getting girls. But because of that mindset, he's not getting any girls because that's what they think of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
it was on her.
Yeah.
We were talking about the father role, how that plays into women and finding a suitor.
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think that, you know, your dad has a lot to do with it. My dad was pretty hard on us, you know. I think my dad wished he had boys, so he got stuck with like 6 of us girls. So, yeah, he had it pretty rough. I mean, and we all had it pretty rough. So, like, he wanted us to be in sports. He wanted us to be very hardworking. He wanted us to be intelligent. You know, he wanted us to be everything that he would want his sons to be. Yeah. So it's like we were raised kind of like we were little boys. But
that explains a lot.
Super high expectations, you know. It's like they don't have the boys to have the expectations for, so it's like they have those expectations for your daughter. And then it's like, you know, when we got old enough, it's like I graduated early, you know. My dad was like, all right, time for you to go, you know. And so I was out. He dropped me off his health insurance. I had to get out of his house. Like, it was just a completely different world for me. So I do think your dad has a lot to do with who you are as a person and, like, why you are the way you are. And, like, you can't just, if your dad was never there for you the way he was supposed to be, you can't just trust any man to ever be there for you the way that you would want him, like, in your head to be, right?
Of course. Yeah, I understand.
So. Yeah, I think a father plays a really important role in their daughter's life. And just really quick, I also like think the mother's role is really important. Like that, you know, that's a valuable, like that's a value there because not everybody can raise you like a mother, and not a lot of people are good mothers, you know, that are there for their children and really take care of them and nourish them. But yeah.
But the question was if a father plays the biggest role for a woman in the dating scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it does. I mean, it also depends on the situation. If you're coming from a single mother household, I feel like the mother is going to obviously set that example. Mm-hmm. And I've seen situations where there is a single mother household and, you know, she has a daughter and 2, you know, whatever, and kids and other kids, like boys or whatever. It's a mix, right? But the mom is like every couple of months is another man around. You feel me? So what type of image, you know, what type of thought, like
my
what type
mom
of
was
thoughts
that mom.
Huh?
My mom was that mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
And
dad.
did it take any like effect on you? The way you like, how did you perceive it? Did you look at him like that's not
I don't
okay?
know.
Or
So like the way I looked at like my relationship with my dad was like, you know, how I view relationships now is like I just kind of want somebody to be everything that he wasn't. So like, you know, he wanted me to push to be this great person, and it's like I just want somebody to be gentle, bro. I want somebody that's gonna just like take the reins and like take care of me. But it's like that person is really hard to find, and it is hard to be able to give up everything for yourself. So it's like that's how I kind of take my dad's relationship into my new relationships now. But like my mom, they got divorced when I was very young. I was like 4 or 5 years old when they got divorced. And my mom, I mean, their divorce wasn't even final, and she had another man like at the house already. And granted, my dad was like stepping out on her too, and he was like with another woman at his job. But it's like, you know, I mean, there's just things that I feel like it's about your mindset. Like, you don't necessarily have to grow up to be just like your parents were. It's like you can use their experiences. Like, we had to watch our parents grow up.
Yeah.
Like, I had to watch them become the adults that they were. You know, when they have you at 26 years old, they're still growing up. I think about that now. I'm like, damn, I'm 23. And it's like people are expecting me to just have kids right now. And it's like, damn.
Let me just say that I appreciate you for saying that, because we talk about it all the time that women use their trauma as their identity, and the fact that you didn't let that trauma identify you, you know, you still did your thing, you lived your life how you saw fit. That's really admirable.
Yeah, it really.
Well, I just think, it's like you can take it and run with it. Like, you know, there's that story about how there's this guy who has 2 sons and he's an alcoholic, and then there's one that grows up to be just like him and he falls into alcohol and drugs, and then there's one that took everything that his dad had put them through as kids as a lesson to move forward and be everything that wasn't. Like, you know, I don't drink. Like, my parents were alcoholics. My mom is an alcoholic. My Nina just died a couple years ago from alcoholism. So it's like you have to take your experiences and get your own mindset.
Yeah.
You got to learn from it. You can't let it, you know, and
drag
that's
you
with
down. You
everything in
can't
life.
let it define
Exactly.
you. So it's like, and then it's like if you're crawling out of holes like that, sometimes it's like hard to be perceived by other people when you're coming into relationships, because like you said, it comes off as this really masculine energy, but it's like you don't have anybody.
Yeah, that's just your life. Dev, how do you think a father's role plays into women in the dating scene?
I think it plays into it massively, but I think you guys have already pretty much covered it to the fullest extent.
Okay.
I think that, in the examples of the single mother households, the mom is can take a very big effect on her mindset. But I think that the father does show the example of what a man is supposed to be if he does his job right.
Yeah. I agree.
I also agree. But broader than that, men have to take accountability for everything, so the fathers should take accountability for that, because if we don't, then we're completely fucked. So we have to. It is our duty to be good fathers, and even though something may not seem like our fault, it is our fault. So I would say the same with fathers, and if daughters don't choose a good suitor, the father messed up somehow.
Yeah, I agree. I don't got too much more to add to that.
All right, guys. So I want to know what you guys took from the podcast, what you guys learned, if you guys are going to use what you learned out there in the world, you know, tell your girls about, you know, what you learned about. What exactly did you learn from this podcast?
I think I appreciated getting your guys' perspectives, because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, we're women, so oftentimes we only have our own thoughts to, you know, really go through. So it is very interesting to see what you guys had to say, just in general, like about everything, the way you guys view like relationships or even women or, you know, different things like that. So I think it was very informative for sure, and I'm appreciative of it.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah, I mean, it's my second time with you guys. I always have a good time. I mean, it's always good conversation. So, I mean, like she said, I appreciate just hearing what you guys have to say about things, because females don't get the male perspective as often, and I feel like you guys are giving us a good opportunity to be able to ask you about stuff like it. So I enjoy coming here.
I also think it was a good conversation. Specifically, what I'm taking with me is I'm not going to be attracting exactly what I think I am. That I can relax a little bit more into my feminine energy, which is something great. So yeah, this is cool. Thank you.
Yeah, not as much pressure to like have it all together. You know, I feel like that's, especially like just in this day and age, it does seem like as women, it's like we have to carry so much more weight than I think that women ever had to. And it's like, hey, hearing you guys, it's like, all right, we don't need to do that. We can relax. There are men who want to step up to the plate and do something. So it's nice.
Well, that's a beautiful realization.
Yes.
Because isn't that crazy how that
It
works?
is very much
Where it's like,
so.
oh, when you just can get into your roles, it's like, oh, everyone's happier.
Yeah.
So good.
Did you guys get
I
any new
enjoyed-
perspective?
Yeah, so I really did enjoy the podcast. So thank you, DNC, for allowing me on here. Even though I talked about some odd things sometimes.
Like sandpaper.
Sometimes, yes.
That
I'll
was a
bring up
good example,
sandpaper.
though, bro. Fuck.
You put a visual to his statement, which made it even better to understand.
Do you know why I pulled that out of my head?
Even did
Because
the
it
whole
was that's what I thought about when I was dating. Or because that was the analogy I used. But I did gain some perspective, and I think it really what I understand is that when you have a lot of choices, that is also difficult. So even though women get men easier, I think it's still difficult to know who is the right man, and I do think it's up to the father to help them realize that. But you do have struggles, you know. So it's easier to get a man, but not necessarily easier to get a husband or a lifelong partner.
Yeah. And it's good to know and show these people that there is like women out there that are not all these Instagram models that are like getting, you know, flown out to every different state, like all these different weekends. Like there's still women that hold standards and have morals out there, man. So because like a lot of the like other podcasts I see, like I feel like they intentionally sometimes get women that are like that to,
Just
you know,
like shit all over.
yeah, exactly. So it's good to just have a good balance between things. So, but yeah, it was nice to know that there's like good women with morals out there still, and not just fucking hoes, man. Shit.
Oh.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's how I'm feeling, man. Somebody got a problem with it, they can come debate me here. You know, your boyfriend can come box me or fight me. You choose. Fight me.
That's my trigger word.
You gonna box a scarecrow?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be haram, huh? I can't bring myself down to that level. Get up to my level, then we can box. Yeah, there we go. But I mean, that's gonna conclude this episode of Ladies Night, guys. Do you guys want to? If you guys have any business or anything you want to shout out, you can. Do you?
Your Instagram.
Or like, yeah, probably don't do that. It's haram. I would say.
Nah, they learned.
Yeah,
They don't want to be seen.
they learned.
Then they're keeping it private for that guy. Smart, see? Created monsters.
No one wants to shout anything out?
I don't think so. Shout out DNC again.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on and taking time to be here and sharing your information and your knowledge. Walter, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you.
Everybody else behind the camera. All right, we're gonna conclude this, man. I'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off.